All the postcards he sent went missing after I moved.
All the postcards you sent went missing when I moved, and I never found them. Which is why I think it was the right choice to cut things off once and for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jia.
I'm getting prepared for school.
You need a ride to the airport?
What?
Aren't you leaving for Denmark today? When is the flight?
We're meeting an upcoming actor. Check this out.
Sipiki chai. Leo nakupikia mayai, maziwa.
My name is Gabriel Mtemi, and I'm 11 years old and I go to school at Garden State Academy. What I usually do is acting, and my talent is singing.
I've gone through all the books and I've brought you an amazing story. I love this story especially because it is about nature.
I'm going to show you guys on how to make the yummiest chocolate cupcakes that you guys can try out at home.
I'm going to teach you how to make smiley faces.
You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you.
You've noticed this at all, but Fabiola has changed quite a lot ever since she spent that night in the stables with a veterinarian, sir.
Please get a couple of horses ready.
Your boyfriend said he wouldn't go with you on Father.
Because you're coming with me. I dare you to kiss me again.
And to prove that my apology is totally sincere, I'm offering you a job right now. What we feel is too strong. Just let it go.
I'm supposedly going to get married. No.
Oh, serio? You scared me. What are you doing here?
Oh, I didn't hear you come in.
Oh.
Years ago.
And don't underestimate yourself. The only people who do that are ignorant.
I heard from you.
All the postcards he sent went missing after I moved.
All the postcards you sent went missing when I moved, and I never found them. Which is why I think it was the right choice to cut things off once and for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jia.
I'm getting prepared for school.
You need a ride to the airport?
What?
Aren't you leaving for Denmark today? When is the flight?
If you wanna rise, you gotta fall. Naye Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam anashauri kuwa kuna zama ambazo itafikia ambazo binadamu atakuwa anaamka akiwa ni Muislamu, lakini jioni atazamia akiwa ni kafiri.
Harakisheni kwenda kufanya matendo mema lillah, na yale matendo mema yawe na sharti mbili, iwe mukhlasa lillah, ufanye na ikhlasi lillah, kwa ajili ya Allah. Ukiswali swali lillah kwa ajili ya Allah.
Nasikia uchungu kila mahali.
Hapa sini kidogo. Wasa.
Alishona kasahau cotton ndani ya mwili.
Yes, akaacha ndani ya mwili.
Doctor. She want to kill my wife.
Mambo ya kudunga sindano na wewe ni watchman inapelekana namna gani?
Ulionyesha mimi ni dungange shindano kwa sababu
nakuuliza inapelekana namna gani?
Inapelekana ni mgonjwa na kudungwa.
Mgonjwa kimesa pamba unafanya nini?
Symptoms za kumeza na za kuachwa ni very different.
Hata kukula pamba ni wewe ndio, you are a doctor. Na wewe ndio hata pipi yangu yuko ndio huyu.
Kama hujui kizungu ongea.
Okay, don't leave makasi inside the stomach of the human being.
You and her can be Baba Jane's wives.
Sharing is caring. Karibu chai iko tayari.
But your mom needs help.
Enda. Ukiachwa kitu yoyote awezi deal nayo.
Mbona huko kwa bwana wako?
Huku ni kwetu.
I've never killed anyone before.
If mom is not happy, I can't be, yeah?
Could you please come over?
Mark is trouble.
Yaani utaki niingie hata kwako?
Mixing business with personal matters. Baba Jane. I love you so much, Kristen.
Are you too serious about this marriage business?
This is the chance of a lifetime. Beige team.
Wrong answer.
Oh, that is the wrong answer. It's all right here on the Second Chance Game Show each and every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. right here on the station you love, KBC Channel 1.
Hello there. Good morning. Welcome to the program. It's 6:42 a.m. on this 11th day of January 2023. Let's get the show on the road. My name is Victor Olo. A lot is, in store for you, so you don't have to go anywhere. My name is Victor Olo. Welcome to the program. Doreen.
Indeed, a lot in store for you this morning. We have interesting conversations, so stay put till 10 a.m. Good morning and welcome to the program.
And of course, thank you so much for being with us today on this fine morning on Wednesday, the 11th of January 2022. My name is Ram Maguko, and this is Good Morning Kenya. It's a pleasure being with you today. Stick around for what we have in store for you lined up on this program.
As you heard from the team, we have so much lined up for you, including comprehensive, candid conversations on what is trending in the world of politics, as well as what women leaders are doing in their various capacities. So do keep it right here. Good morning once again. I'm Regina Manyara. Now we start off with stories that have been making headlines, and is that the government has reiterated its commitment to improve the welfare of the police. Speaking when presiding over the Persa parade of a new cohort of police officers at the National Police College in Kiganjo, President William Ruto said his government is awaiting recommendations of the newly sworn-in police and prison service report that it will implement. The president also called on the Ministry of Interior to explore the potential for synergies in the sector to enhance service delivery.
After 9 months of intensive and rigorous training at the National Police College in Kiganjo, 2,881 recruits took an oath of office that they graduated to become fully fledged law enforcers in the National Police Service. The welfare of the police taking dominance in the President's speech.
Government remains committed to enhancing its investment in the institutions, in policies and strategies, infrastructure and equipment necessary to modernize the police service, maintain and enhance professional standards and effectiveness and efficiency in service delivery.
President Ruto reiterated his government's commitment to ensure better healthcare and housing for the police.
We have prioritized the provision of spacious, comfortable, safe, secure and affordable housing for police officers in our affordable housing plan. The government will provide a comprehensive insurance scheme effective this month, available to members of the police and prison service and their families. Additionally, 2 fully equipped National Police Service hospitals are complete and will soon be ready to serve members of the force, including their families.
The new officers were also challenged to discharge their duties in accordance to the law.
I am confident that you are worthy of the trust reposed on you and that you will live up to your oath, meet the expectations of Kenyans, be the citizens' guardians as they go about their lives and livelihoods, and be brave protectors when danger or crime comes calling.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki said his ministry will ensure peace prevails in all parts of the country to create an environment that will help the country thrive.
As the vision carrier of our national security, we, all of us, officers, institutions in this sector, will work harmoniously and in synergy to ensure we support you to realize peace, security, and tranquility in our country, on the basis of which our economy will grow.
Well, this is a 3-day exercise that KBC Channel 1 is going to be televising to you live. So today also catch up with the activities happening in Kiganjo. Now, marking of the Kenya Certificates of Secondary Education KCSE papers at St. Francis Girls High School in Mango, Gatundu North constituency was stopped indefinitely after teachers involved in the exercise downed their tools, decrying poor working conditions and low wages. The teachers who paralyzed the marking exercise were ordered to leave the venue within 30 minutes, with Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu and Principal Secretary Belia Kipsang holding a crisis meeting to decide the next course of action that could disrupt the planned release of the KCSE examination results this month.
Over 1,000 teachers who have been marking the Christian Religious Education Paper 1 examination at St. Francis Girls High School Mangu down their tools, decrying poor working condition and low wages, among other grievances.
The slavery was abolished in the 19th century. We realized that the chief examiner of CRE Paper 1 decided to amend the working schedule and started implementing this authoritarian principle of having the teachers waking up at 4 a.m. and working up to 10 p.m. in the night.
Tens of heavily armed police officers were deployed at the center to hasten the closure process and order the striking teachers to leave the venue within 30 minutes. Education CS Ezekiel Machogu and PS Belio Kipsang arrived at the marking center in an effort to address the crisis. This came as the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers accused the Kenya National Examination Council of allegedly failing to fulfill its obligation to examiners who undergo torture in the marking centers.
Mtu amewacha familia yake huko, alafu anaenda kulala kwa dormitory.
hiyo mambo pia tunakataa. Sasa sisi kama KUPPET tumesema hatutakubali Kenya National Examination Council ichezee walimu wetu.
The stalemate between the striking examiners and NEC could disrupt the release of KCSE results this month.
This one is just a tip of the iceberg, because this is just Christian religious education paper 1. Other papers are even worse, especially those who are marking the languages. They are working under very difficult circumstances, and the Examination Council is not addressing any of the issues.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Definitely that is said to cause a ripple in as far as the education sector is concerned. Now, businesswoman Mary Wamboi and her daughter have been freed after the Kenya Revenue Authority moved to withdraw a 2.2 billion shillings tax evasion case against them. The Communications Authority of Kenya chairperson and her daughter have reportedly reached an agreement with the Kenya Revenue Authority over some outstanding fines. Meanwhile, an advocate of the High Court, Jack Bigambo, has been arraigned for, among others, forgery. Serafina Robi with the details from the courts.
Police are holding a middle-aged man for allegedly killing a minor. The man, aged 24 years, from Karambaine village in Numberi, Kiambu County, is said to have called a member of the Nyumba Kumi initiative, asking to be escorted to the Kangoya police post, saying he had killed his son. Police visited the scene and found the child's body lying on the bed. It is said the child may have been strangled to death using shoelaces. A neighbor, Wilfrida Sifuna, says the man, who was living with his girlfriend and their two children aged 5 and 2 years, quarreled with the children's mother hours before the incident.
Kulikuwa na furuku kutoka jana mpaka leo asubuhi. Watu hawakulala, hata mimi mwenyewe ningepika chupa kwa hiyo mlango yangu sababu ilikuwa ya vita huku na huku, lakini
Sorry for that. I was just assigning to just show them that indeed you are watching the wrong story, and that is just Crime Watch report as prepared by Nancy Okware. But earlier there we had just highlighted for you what was making headlines from the courts yesterday. Just to remind you that our website is up and running for further details if you want to follow up on what has been making headlines in the courts. That is www.kbc.co.ke. On to other matters is that political pundits are opining that the political scene is quite rife. Here's just a comprehensive coverage of what is happening in as far as the executive orders were issued, as prepared by Kevin Washira and Kamche Menza.
Stipulate specific functions of the deputy president. It therefore leaves the door wide open for the president to assign roles to his principal assistant. Executive Order 1 of 2023 now defines the exact role that will be played by Rigathi Gachagua, among them chairing cabinet committees. The order also put the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi in charge of principal secretaries' committees.
Yesterday, we've seen some departments have been removed from some CSs and being taken to where they are. So this will continuously be reviewing in an effort to bring efficiency and accountability in terms of this is your task. If you fail, you have something to be put to task to.
Moving forward, we do not have situations when they conflict, and this would lead to infighting like it was with the previous government, and that ended up affecting the delivery of services to the people.
In 2013, the then President Uhuru Kenyatta issued an executive order assigning then Deputy President William Ruto the role of coordinating government agenda and ministries, but later, through another executive order in 2018, reassigned those roles to CS Interior Fred Matiang'i. Political analysts opine that reassigning of roles by the president will be key in holding the leaders accountable in their performance.
The president pronounced himself, and it is no secret. If you do not have the capacity to deliver, my friend, pack and go. The only way you can measure the efficiency of an organization is knowing what are the deliverables. You'll never be able to tell what the deliverables are if you have not defined what the milestones, what the expectations are, and which activities falls within that mandate. Therefore, this time around, unlike before, there's a lot of political goodwill. The definition is supposed to increase effectiveness and efficiency.
Under President William Ruto, from the way it looks, it will be very different. Under Kenyatta, nobody was sacked. Under Ruto, very many CSs, very many PSs are going to be sacked for non-delivery.
In the executive order, President Ruto also placed the coffee subsector reforms implementation committee under the office of Deputy President. This, analysts say, will make or break the DP's political ambitions.
What the president is trying to say is that we need, the prices of coffee worldwide have improved. We need now to give it more attention, not only in the Mount Kenya region, but in terms of spreading coffee the whole country. Politically, it can be suicidal if the deputy president takes that position as a Mount Kenya item and ignores coffee as a national cash crop.
He understands the operations of the cartels within the coffee sector. If Rigathi Gachagua wins this battle, and I can tell you, he knows he has no option. He must win the battle. His commitment, how he has pronounced himself from this January, the only battle that he's going to fight is tea, coffee and milk.
The executive order comes after a 3-day cabinet retreat to induct CSAs and PSAs on the Kenya Kwanza plan.
The executive order continues there to elicit a lot of debate, and you can bet that this particular show is going to put that issue into perspective as we continue interviewing our various guests in regard to what is happening in the political scene. Now we take you back to matters education, where the ministry has rolled out a national-wide inspection of primary schools to ascertain their preparedness to host junior secondary pupils. The ministry will also be checking on the qualification of teachers, school enrollment and facilities before permitting any institution to admit pupils for grade 7.
A committee comprising of different education stakeholders, among them the Teacher Service Commission, Directors of Education and National Government Administration Offices (NGAO), are moving within schools to ascertain infrastructure and teaching staff headcount to ascertain their qualifications.
As the school grows up, there will be required some expansion of facilities, like the labs, like the extra classes. Is there a playground? A playground, very key. CBC activities are very important, because at the end of it, there is a pathway we are calling talent pathway. So a playground is important for the school to run. Do they have also extra rooms that can now house home science, can have the theater?
The Ministry of Education has also kicked a countrywide retooling of trainers and teachers on how to embark on junior secondary education in the preparation of school opening and enrollment of junior secondary school. Mombasa County Director for Education Peter Magiri says the ministry has put in place measures to improve education standards.
Mpaka sasa hakuna shule ambayo imesajiliwa. Kwa sababu gani? Serikali imetoa mwongozo wa kukagua hiyo mashule, na ndio nimesema ilianzishwa jana kila pahali, everywhere in the country jana. Kwa hivyo wale wazazi ama wale walimu wanatoa hiyo miongozo ama joining instructions, tunaomba wangoje. Wazazi tunawaomba wangoje kabla ya kukimbilia, kwa sababu vile nilisema kuna wale private investors, na unajua hata wao wako kwa biashara, kwa hiyo wanakimbilia.
Some of 34,500 pupils will be transiting to junior secondary schools in Mombasa County. The Ministry of Education says the textbooks to be used in junior secondary school are ready and are awaiting the placement of students. The Ministry of Education has cautioned parents against buying school uniforms and other requirements of junior secondary school until they get communication of the approved institutions. Michael Mondiga, Mombasa County.
Now, two families in Western Kenya were forced to agree on where to bury their kin after the hearse ferrying the body of the deceased stalled at one of the King's Gate. The family of Mildred Makoha clashed openly with their in-laws, saying they had no right to claim her remains because their son was yet to pay dowry. Elders had to come in to settle the dispute surrounding the burial of the 19-year-old Mumias, Kakamega County.
Their tradition. On arrival at the parents' home, the vehicle ferrying the body stalled and efforts to restart the car were futile, something that forced the elders to talk to the deceased.
Wakati tumekuja kumchukua kwa mochari, tumefika nje ya kwenda kwetu hapa, gari ilikuwa tu mzuri. Sisi tumeingia kwa hiyo hasi tukitoka kwangu huko kwake kwenye Maitanga iko. Ndio tumefika hapa, gari imekwama tu kwa ghafla. Sasa hatujui kama ni mila, hatuwezi kusema alikufa kifo gani kwa sababu amekufa na hatujui. Tunaomba tu kama waelewane.
Sasa ndiye tulifika hapa ni gari kawacha. Ya kakataa. Sijui ni nini inatendeka hata.
Sasa mimi kukuja kufika hapa nikapata gari imekwama kwa kina msichana penye anazaliwa. So nimeangalia gari, upande wa moto gari iko sawa, mafuta iko sawa. Sioni kitu ya kutengeneza hapo. Sasa ni wazee tu kujua kitu ya kufanya, alafu msichana atakubali na gari inawaka.
The family had to replace the vehicle and the coffin in order to transport the body to Makunga, Navakolo constituency, where the deceased had been married.
Wazee ndio hao wameongelesha mtoto. Kuuga ya mtoto amekuwa hapa, ndio hao bado wanamiminika tu wanakuja. Hii yote ni jamii ya mtoto tu. Wamekuja wamemuongelesha, hatuoni gari ikitoka. Wanamwambia akubali sababu ni ako na boma lake.
Eventually, the two families reached an agreement on how the dowry would be paid, allowing the burial plans to continue.
Mimi kama babu wa mtoto mdogo nangojea mahari nyumbani saa hii. Hata nimeshaandaliza maandalizi iko tayari. Nangojea wakeni huko.
19-year-old Mildred Makoha passed away after developing complications 6 months into her pregnancy.
Wow. As from Mount Kenya, or do I say Central, we hear of such when it comes to culture and we are left baffled. Maybe Victor and Doreen Arange as well as Ramaguko can actually chime in regard to that issue. We have heard that, bodies, or rather the deceased, actually resist from being buried until either the coffin is turned around or some corpses are actually ended up beaten or talked to, just as you've heard from that story. But hey, we say this is Africa and our cultures still remain rife. Well, we'll be having that banter later on. Now, former Commissioner General of the Kenya Prison Service, Isaiah Mosoiri Osugo, died Monday evening. Osugo died at the Nairobi hospital where he was battling cancer. Osugo was appointed to the Correctional Department in 2008 and retired on March 19th of 2019.
Former Commissioner General of Kenya Prison Service Isaiah Mosoiri Osugo died on Monday at a Nairobi hospital where he had been admitted for 2 weeks for treatment of cancer. Osugo was appointed to the Correctional Department as the Commissioner General of Prisons in 2008 by late President Mwai Kibaki from his previous post as the Nairobi Provincial Criminal Investigations Department Chief, replacing Gilbert Omondi, who retired. Osugo's tenure at the department ended in March 19, 2019, paving way for Wycliffe Ogalo as the new Commissioner General. The late Osugo hails from Bobasi constituency in Kisii County and was 67 at the time of his demise.
While you're watching in the headlines, for now we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
this at all, but Fabiola has changed quite a lot ever since she spent that night in the stables with a veterinarian, sir.
Please get a couple of horses ready.
Your boyfriend said he wouldn't go with you, Father.
Because you're coming with me. I dare you to kiss me again.
And to prove that my apology is totally sincere, I'm offering you a job right now. What we feel is too strong to just let it go.
I'm supposedly going to get married. No.
Oh, serio? You scared me. What are you doing here?
Oh, I didn't hear you come in.
Oh.
Years ago.
Umwandikie penye tu nataka iandikwe.
I'm Regina Manyara. This is in the headlines. Now to the counties. A section of members of the National Assembly have embarked on public participation to prioritize development matters. The members say the move will aid in improving services to communities.
Lari Constituency Member of Parliament Mburu Kahangara and the National Government Constituency Development Fund Committee conducted a public participation in Kamburu Ward. Residents appreciated the allocation of 35% of the fund to education bursary.
Ile tunataka kufanya ni kwamba tutatengeneza maabara laboratories katika hizo shule na kuhakikisha kwamba mahali kama hakuna darasa tujenge ama zile ziko pia tutajaribu kuzifanya upya ndio watoto unaona kama wanaenda secondary pia wasikie kwamba wamemove kutoka primary na wameenda mahali kwingine.
In Matungu, the area member of Parliament Oscar Nabulindo and Kakamega Women Representative Elsie Mohanda have decried low funding of the Constituency Development Fund, saying it results in projects stalling.
Mimi ninatarajia 30 million ndio niweze kucover the entire constituency vile tulifanya ile mara nyingine. Lakini hii mwaka wanasema wataleta milioni 5 peke yake.
Mimi naomba serikali tafadhali mlete CDF na pia mlete pesa ya ngafu.
Elsewhere, administrators of private schools in Narok have urged the government to consider funding them in implementation of the competence-based curriculum to ensure uniformity in quality education.
Even if we may not be considered for free primary education because we are in the private sector, but there are other ways that the government can consider private schools because we are offering the same education and the children are all ours.
In the meantime, Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti has urged county workers to focus on development to enhance service delivery. She made the remarks when swearing in 26 chief officers of her government.
Asa imeisha. I'm not even interested in politics now. My interest is to deliver for the people of Machakos.
Elsewhere, residents of Teso North are set to benefit from a medical training institute constructed by the County Development Fund at a cost of 100 million shillings. Dr. Kelly Oloch, the institute's CEO, appealed to the community to encourage their children to register for the courses.
We wish to appeal to the local community that we are currently doing admission of students at KCSE. Students are applying to join Kenya Medical Training Program.
And residents of Ngilai in Samburu County staged a protest following the arrest of a man by people suspected to be police. They regretted that during the midnight incident, police sprayed bullets randomly, killing several livestock.
Now we cross over to Busia, where the county has launched an initiative that will first track the planting of 1 million trees to attain the 10% forest cover in the county. Residents have been urged to embrace forest conservation to help mitigate the effects of climate change.
To help tackle climate change, Busia County has already planted over 50,000 seedlings of the 1 million it plans to plant. County Commissioner Kipchumba Ruto joined the Huduma Center in launching the County Forest Initiative to plant over 1,500 seedlings at Kalro Alupe, where he urged Busia residents to embrace forest conservation.
We started in Mumbaga in Busia, that is in Bunyala, and we were able to plant over 5,000 tree seedlings. And we have also planted almost 8,000 across the county.
The County Forest Conservatoire Vitalis Osodo called for massive investment in the exercise, noting that the country was ranked among the lowest forested countries in the region.
One of the mandates of Kenya Forest Service is to ensure that we mitigate the effects of climate change, and one way is by planting trees. But we are waiting for resources. Of course, the resources are the ones that are hampering us to raise enough seedlings. The source of energy like biogas, solar and wind, we do promote those things. So, as the department, we conserve what we have.
The residents have been urged to embrace alternative sources of energy to save trees.
Now to business, Kenya Airways says it is experiencing disruption of flights due to challenges in procuring aircraft components for maintenance of its fleet as scarcity persists globally. Kenya Airways Managing Director Alan Kivaluka says some of its aircrafts are grounded due to delays in scheduled maintenance, and the airline might be forced to review frequencies on some routes if the challenges in securing the parts persists.
If you fly Kenya Airways, you might have in recent days experienced delays or disruptions. The airline says this has been a result of aircraft component supply chain challenges that has occasioned delays in securing the vital parts required for maintenance of its fleet. In a statement, Kenya Airways Managing Director Alan Kilavuka says if the situation persists, the airline might be forced to reduce some of its frequencies on some routes. Kilavuka says the decision to reduce flights if the scarcity persists is due to shortage of planes to cover for the delay on the affected routes. As Russia produces 35% of the total titanium in the global market, KQ says it is fictionalizing its component support system program that will help fast-track the securing of components. The airline is also engaging their original equipment manufacturer partners to work on mitigation measures in a bid to stabilize the operations. The disruption in frequencies comes just months after the national carrier was forced to grapple with a 4-day pilot strike that saw the airline lose an estimated 2.1 billion shillings in missed revenue.
Now, traders and small businesses have welcomed a decision by China to ease COVID-19 restrictions, noting that it would help reduce challenges they had experienced sourcing for some of the products. The businesses say the reopening of travel to some Chinese cities, coupled with resumption of direct flights, would help reduce the overall cost of some commodities in Kenya that were expensive due to being sourced elsewhere.
Key imports from China, such as motor spare parts and electronics, had increased by as much as 50%, as importers passed on the high cost of shipments from the other countries to consumers. This after China restricted travel and movement in some regions to contain rising COVID-19 cases. The expensive imports were due to reduced manufacturing activity and a disrupted transport system after China imposed COVID-19 containment restrictions.
We were facing some challenges in the prices. Also the transportation, the containers, almost doubled price. The other thing is we could not travel to China to go and find more supplies or more varieties of things. We only could deal with those that we had previously.
However, China has relaxed some of the rules, including opening up its borders, a decision that small traders and businesses in Kenya are optimistic will bring down the cost of some commodities.
Go for the canton fair, which I think they will communicate the dates. So we are very happy that they've opened.
Shop owners in Nairobi say China's strict COVID-19 prevention policies, including travel restrictions and quarantines, had affected their ability to import the Chinese-made products.
The sales were too low. Due to that, it affected prices of the commodities. You see, like prices for the tires went up by almost 50%.
Tourism agencies say they have also started receiving bookings from Chinese tourists after resumption of direct flights between Nairobi and Guangzhou by China Southern Airlines yesterday.
I fly to Guangzhou today because I am a businesswoman and sometimes I go to visit Guangzhou, like maybe twice a month. Yeah, I'm so excited because the business will be normal. Even so many people will be able to travel now, and we are so happy.
Expecting so many tourism in Kenya, we are very ready. We are welcoming Chinese market again after 3 years. We are very hopeful and very excited for this one.
The Ministry of Tourism projects to net 1.9 million international tourists this year, with the number of tourist arrival rising to 2.2 million next year.
Well, as we are anticipating an influx of Chinese business as well as tourists, questions are abound in regard to China's state when it comes to its commitment to transparency when it comes to matters of COVID-19, having that it has barred people from Japan as well as Korea from accessing its borders owing to the COVID-19 situation. We'll be keeping tabs on that, but that effectively puts a cap on matters in the headlines today, this morning. Just to remind you that our website is up and running for further details at www.kbc.co.ke. Now we shift focus to matters engineering. What are the challenges and what are the milestones we are looking at as a country, and what is in store for this sector in this year 2023? Over to you, Doreen Arange. Well said, Regina, and that is what is yet. We are set to converse in around the next hour, just exactly 19 minutes past the top of the hour, right in time for that first conversation of the day. We train our focus on matters of achievement as well as challenges that are facing the engineering sector. And my guests are already on set. I'm holding court with Engineer Patrick Wambulwa to my far left, who is the Chairman, Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, and right next to him is Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, the immediate past president, IEK, that is the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I just want to start with you, Engineer Patrick, and this is in respect to that conference that took place in some time in October. It was a 3-day conference. Talk to me a bit about that particular conference and what it sought to achieve. Let's broach this discussion from that particular point.
Thank you. The conference was held in October in Kisumu, and its theme was re-engineering. Sorry, it was about infrastructure development in Africa. One of the key pillars of integration of Africa is development of infrastructure that will fast-track transportation of goods and interaction of people. So this conference attracted a total of 400 participants from both Kenya and the East African region. The country that was heavily present was Sudan, and also people from county government. It was meant to be a platform for exchange of ideas so that we address the challenges in infrastructure.
Yeah, exchange of ideas. Do you feel in your perspective that indeed this was achieved? Because you just talked about infrastructural development, and not just in Kenya, but this is also beyond our borders.
Yes, because for us to develop as Africa, we need infrastructure that links our countries. Telecommunication, transport, which is a key player, both railway, road, sea, and telecommunication. So that's why we saw the need to discuss the achievements and challenges in infrastructure development. And we ended up with the resolutions. Some are for us ourselves as professionals to work on. Others are for national governments, and others are for county governments. And that conference also, we sought to enhance the interaction of engineers in Kenya with the county governments. So we requested, it was opened by the governor of Kisumu and closed by the governor of Kakamega. And we had a good interaction with the county governments so that they enhance infrastructure development at their level.
I hear you. And momentarily we'll come to those achievements, particularly in the infrastructural development. You can bear witness that particularly the previous regime was big on that when it comes to road constructions, and also seeing the same being replicated, so to speak, in this current government. So we'll come to that momentarily. But Engineer Nathaniel, the 29th IEK convention equally took place in November. This obviously just shows you that this has been an ongoing convention for us to get to the 29th of it. But talk to me about the necessity of this one and just, the purpose that it served.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think I'm very happy also to be back. The last time we were talking about the upcoming conference.
Yes.
And now we are saying the conference happened and we got a lot
doing like a postmortem.
Postmortem, it happened and we got a lot of benefit. It was mainly to talk about sustainable development in the era of climate change. So we're very lucky. We got more than 3,000 delegates attending from all over the world, actually. We were very privileged that we got an address from the president of the Washington Accord, Emeritus Professor Elizabeth Taylor. She gave us a lot of insight on how we can progress as a country towards getting accepted and sign up the Washington Accord. This is very key to Kenya, because once our regulatory body, the Engineers Board of Kenya, gets accepted as a member of the Washington Accord, they will assure the rest of the world that whatever is being done in Kenya in form of engineering education, engineering practice is up to world standard. And therefore Kenyan engineers will be accepted to go and work anywhere in the world We also hope that our engineering education will attract foreign students, which you know that will bring us a lot of foreign income. Many Kenyans nowadays have the privilege of going to study in South Africa, and you know that is a main income earner for that country. So we hope as a country, once that this happens, we shall be able to get this going. And as a follow-up, we've gotten our resolutions. We're going to share with all the stakeholders. They have already, those who attend, we are very privileged. Our CS, Murkomen, was not able to come, but we got the chief guest, was the CS Water. And she was with us, gave us a lot of insight, and promised that whatever discussions we were having with her, she was going to take it up with our CS Murkomen, and she will ensure that matters we discussed will be followed up closely to ensure that the country moves forward. As a follow-up, the international community who attended, Kenya pitched to host the next General Assembly for the World Council of Civil Engineers. And I'm happy to report that this was allowed, and this year in November we shall be going back to Mombasa, but now hosting the General Assembly of the World Council of Civil Engineers. You know, Kenya, we are members of international organizations. We're just not local. Kenya is a member of the East African Federation of Engineering Organizations, and it's also a member of the Federation of Africa Engineering Organizations, and also a member of the World Council of Civil Engineers, and also a member of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. These are international organizations whose aim is basically to push for the place of engineering. And we know that the current government, the Kenya Kwanza, even see the slogan, kazi ni kazi. You know, for us engineers, kazi is engineering. Yeah. Because when you want to change something, when you want to do something, you say, I want to engineer it.
Yes. So you still use the term.
The engineer, exactly. So kazi ni kazi is engineering, and we expect that the government will give the engineers in this country a space to participate in infrastructure development. That is the only way we shall move. So we are doing this not just isolated in Kenya, but we are borrowing from the world best practices. That's why this conference we keep having, and when we shall be hosting the World Council of Civil Engineers, it will now be the 30th. So it will be the 30th time we as a country will be hosting this international conference. But we are privileged now. We have this, we can say we are riding along the World Council of Civil Engineers. We hope we shall physically attract all these international delegates, and we probably need to work closely with the Ministry of Tourism to market the country.
All right.
Yes, next week I'll actually I'm traveling to Porto in Portugal to present our state of preparedness to host this conference, and we are expected to make a presentation basically to sell Kenya, how Kenya is. You need to come to attend this conference, and you need to, this will be the takeaways, but please take time to see the countryside.
I hear
so
you.
We expect to attract these international delegates, the world, you can say, trend leaders in engineering.
I hear you.
We hope the president and the establishment will give us a chance to visit them and discuss with them. Then we move this country forward.
Well said. Clearly, you know, the convention, whatever that was envisaged, really did come to fruition just from how you are enumerating it.
We can say it was, our benefits were beyond our expectations.
Well said.
Thank you very much.
There's also something that you talked about, and I'd like you to elucidate a bit on that, and this is in respect to the timelines. You know, the Washington Accord that you did say, of course it's a plan in the offing, but again, what timelines are we looking at? Because you realize that getting that recognition would be a big plus, you know, for us as a country.
We started the process actually last year, but we realized that it was going a bit slow. So what we did, Kenya, we are very lucky. The Institution of Engineers of Kenya, is, as I explained, is a member of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. So we pushed, and we are very lucky to report that in October last year, the regulatory board, which is the one going to sign up the Washington Accord, got accepted as an affiliate member of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. Now, with that acceptance, we are able to accelerate this process, and we expect that in 2024, EBK should be, Engineers Board of Kenya, should be accepted as an associate member of the Washington Accord. After that, with the monitoring, we are able to continue demonstrating to the rest of the world that we are keeping to the world standards, and then we maybe after some time, another 2 years, we can be a full member. But the benefits will start flowing the moment we become associate member, which we expect to achieve in 2024.
2024.
Yes, and the board is making a lot of effort. We know that this process needs a lot of government support because it's government lobbying, and we've been talking to the ministry. Our PS is very supportive, Engineer Mbugua, and we expect that the board now, which is directly under his docket, even with the last reorganization, we appreciate what the head of state has done, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, that he's managed to bring the regulation of engineers under one state department. Previously, we had the Engineers Board of Kenya, which was under the Roads State Department, and we had the Kenya Technicians Technologists, which were under the Ministry of Higher Education, and that was posing a bit of a challenge. Now, with the last reorganization, these are under one state department, so we expect that it will be much easier for our regulator, the Engineers Board of Kenya, to assure the world and even coordinate engineering education and practice in this country, the way we have been structured.
Thank you.
Yes.
And clearly 2024 is not really that far, so some good timelines to
It is 2024 is next year. So we have a lot of work, and we need a lot of your support. We need a lot of support from all the stakeholders to ensure that we remain focused and we don't lose, we don't drop the button actually on this journey.
Thank you. Engineer Patrick, let's come to those achievements now, and this is in respect to infrastructure. And you also clearly had Engineer Nathaniel really talking about the infrastructure much as the convention. The convention did take place in November, but this was largely like the backbone of the conference in October. And we know infrastructure is very key, you know, even for the growth of the economy of any country or state. But from your analysis and perspective, where are we in terms of infrastructure as a country? What are the achievements that have been made so far?
Thank you. Allow me to just add something to what Engineer Matolanga is saying in terms of the opening up for engineers to go beyond the Kenyan boundary. Within the East African community, the regulators of the engineering profession have agreed and signed a mutual recognition agreement, which means the engineers or those who are providing engineering services are free to work within the East African community. And as much as we are working towards the Washington Accord, which is international, but our space within the East African community has been
it's secured, good enough.
And leveled.
All right.
Yeah. So
at least it's a good step towards where we're looking into. All right.
The challenge, maybe we'll talk about challenges later.
Momentarily, true.
On infrastructure, the government, I think, has put in a lot of effort. The transportation sector, there is heavy investment that has gone in. Of course, you know the SGR, the expressway in Nairobi, and many other roads that have been worked on. And I think now those who have traveled between Nairobi and Nakuru are taking almost 6 hours, 5 hours sometimes, when you are supposed to take 2 hours. But it is planned for dual links. So I think from my perspective, the investment...
the Northern Corridor?
Yes, the investment on the transport sector has been done properly, and we just need to maybe deliver on time what is planned.
Just hold on that point, delivering on time on what's planned. I'll pick it up on that particular note with you, but we are due for a break at this particular point. We take a very quick breather. We circle back with plenty more of this conversation, so stay with us.
don't underestimate yourself. The only people who do that are ignorant.
I heard from you.
All the postcards you sent went missing after I moved.
All the postcards you sent went missing when I moved, and I never found them. Which is why I think it was the right choice to cut things off, once and for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jia.
Oh, I'm getting prepared for school.
You need a ride to the airport?
What?
Aren't you leaving for Denmark today? When is the flight?
Tisini na mbili nukta tisa. Hii ni KBC Radio Taifa.
Kila kitu maishani kina sauti yaleta furaha.
Radio.
Sauti ya elimisha, yahimiza, yatuleta pamoja. Sauti ya Kenya.
Radio Taifa.
Sauti ya Kenya.
Going 100 on the highway. I ain't taking no calls. All my struggles in the rearview mirror.
We always gotta sing together, play together. Lift up your hand, hold it up high. We know that feeling of
If you wanna rise, you gotta fall and stand up a million times.
every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me.
Nothing they can do to stop this abuse. Sins of the Father are visited from all in a never-ending circle.
Welcome back to the program. We definitely appreciate your valid company. Still holding court with my guest on this topic of just getting to know the achievements and the challenges in the engineering sector. That is Engineer Patrick Wambulwa to my far left, who is the chairman, Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, as well as Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, the immediate past president, Institution of Engineers of Kenya, that is IEK. Let me just pick it up with you, Engineer Patrick, where you left it off, and this was looking at delivering on time, what was planned in respect to the achievements.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think one way for us to achieve our economic development would be to deliver on time what is planned. And it is a challenge, and I think the intervention is to give adequate attention during project preparation, so that there is proper planning and preparation of feasibility studies for the project. That would give the required budgets, and therefore the National Treasury would allow adequate funding for the project. I would like to mention that in 2020, the National Treasury issued a guideline on public investment management, which is basically the cycle through which a project goes through and how you prepare for each stage and how you accommodate it in the national budget. If we adhere to that document, and it will be possible to deliver projects on time.
Okay.
The other, it's basically two things I would say, project preparation and adequate budgeting.
Adequate budgeting
Yes.
and proper appropriation into
Yes.
this project.
Yes.
But even when you look at delivering on projects on time, I want to take a case in point of the expressway. You realize the timelines that had been put in place was it 2 years, in my memory serves me
Yes,
correct?
yes.
But it really did indeed take
that the time frame that had been allocated or given. So then does this depend on a project, or what really informs this? Because again, there are some projects that really have stalled for the longest time. So even as you talk about delivering on projects on time, what really informs that some really take the indeed stipulated time and some really take the longest time before they are achieved?
There are several factors that affect delivery of a project on time.
Okay.
Some of them, if I mentioned preparation, if the design was not tight or exact, then you find that you want to make a change when you have already started. So you need to either go slow or stop to allow time for redesign. So that's why investment into preparation, so that you have a watertight design. When I ring the bell to start, or I break the ground to start, I just run, because it is thoroughly designed, investigations were done properly. So the need for redesign. The second part that affects many projects in Kenya is the budgetary allocation. If the funding within a given year is not adequate, then the contractors have to put down their tools, because they are waiting for payment. And I think here is where those in various accounting offices need to give adequate attention, so that all works that are ongoing, their payments are done on time. So that is, there could be an element of where there is tax exemptions, there are delays to grant tax exemptions, and those cause delay, and there could be clearance of items that are being imported, the shipping and the arrival. Those are
the materials.
The materials,
All right.
where you are importing components from outside the country. Yeah, like when there was COVID, of course, there was that interruption, but now COVID is behind us. It is opened up.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see Engineer Nathaniel wants to jump in on that. But also when you talk about time, it reminds me of the Rironi Mau Summit Road, which just the funding has been given, is it a week or 2 weeks back, when the President, gave a go-ahead. And this has been a project that has been talked about over time because of how strategic the road around there is. But even as you want to respond to that, Engineer Nathaniel, even as you talk about delivering on projects on time, do you read political goodwill in some projects and lack of that in others?
Thank you very much. I don't think we would talk about political goodwill in some projects and lack of political goodwill. Not delivering projects on time is actually bad behavior.
It's just bad behavior.
Yeah, all projects should be delivered on time.
Right.
Because as Engineer Ombulo has explained, projects are supposed to be designed. And you cannot start carrying out a design unless you have budget. So once a project starts, we cannot start talking about political goodwill and lack of political goodwill. If there's no political goodwill, then the project should not people should not waste time designing it and appointing a contractor. There are two major players on each project. There is the client and there is the contractor. The consultant is basically a facilitator. You come in to design what the client wants, and you help the client identify a contractor, and you supervise the implementation of the project. So all projects should actually be delivered on time, because all these challenges, we are not doing these projects for the first time. We've done it before. It is like a repeated cycle. The construction process is properly documented. What you need to do and what you need to ensure that it is implemented on time. You cannot talk about, a contractor will tell you, oh, we close for Christmas. But of course, when you are signing up the contract, you knew that there was going to be Christmas. The only thing you can explain probably is when COVID came, which is like an act of God, which is beyond human control.
Which stalled projects across.
Exactly. And then that is normally provided for in the normal standard conditions of contract, how to handle such situation. And as much as you'll want to say that project was not delivered on time, you can explain, but you cannot say the project is not delivered on time because of bad political goodwill. It's basically bad behavior. What happens in this country, unfortunately, is that each of us pushes for a project in our own. A member of parliament will push for projects in his constituency. And even now, you talk to the governors, MCAs are pushing for projects in their sub-counties.
So this has no political inclination, it's just bad or good behavior
It's
from
just
this.
bad. Yeah. It should not happen. You realize the Kenya government is now having pending bills, bills that have not been paid for.
Yeah.
You can see that is bad behavior, because why did this project start without proper allocation of budget? You start a project saying, oh, the government will allocate me X amount of money every year. You know that. So why don't you just commit what your budget is? Why don't you want to overcommit and hope that one day some funds will come from somewhere else and help you finance the project? So with proper planning, that's why we're asking government that if we as a country want to move forward in a sustainable way, we need to appreciate professional involvement in this project.
Just allow me to butt in on that one, Engineer Nathaniel, so that maybe you can explain further on this bad behavior, because again, this also reminds me of the what we call maybe the old Mombasa Road, or Mombasa Road as it were. It was a bit reconstructed to ensure that the expressway is properly constructed, and there had been conversations at the moment the expressway is done, which was actually done and completed. They were supposed to ensure that they reconstructed a bit to make sure that the places that were a bit deconstructed could actually go back into place for people to enjoy the road as it were. Right now as we speak, even the pedestrian walkways as is not really quite there as it were, and there was a proper provision for that. So then when you describe bad behavior, is it, again, I want to go back to my previous question, is this just an issue of bad behavior, or there's a bit of political inclination into some of these things that we see?
Maybe I will call that political inclination bad behavior, because there should not be political inclination to ignore the professional advice.
All right.
Because you remember when the expressway started, we as engineers queried the project. We wanted to know what the government was committing to and what the benefit was going to be. And we said, was that the best way to invest that amount of money? Because we wanted to provide accessibility to town. You know, now there are challenges we talked about last time.
Yeah.
There's no off-ramp into town.
Exit to the CBD.
Exit to the city. But that will be addressed, we have been told.
All right.
So you can call that political, lack of political. You can want to explain it away as political. But we, from professional point of view, we are saying, no, politicians should listen to technical advice. If you go to the hospital and the doctor prescribed medicine for you and you don't take it, I don't know, you call that bad behavior. How will you explain it? The doctor told me.
You can say, doctor.
No. You can't say it. You can't say political inclination.
All
Yeah?
right,
That's what we are saying in industry, in the infrastructure industry, that we have professionals. These things are documented. If you look at the standard conditions of contract, the FIDIC document that is used in civil engineering work, all these conditions you are talking about, whether there is COVID, and we are saying that the bad behavior can also be that the client who has undertaken to pay the contractor doesn't pay when the contractor has done the work. So he has to pay to ensure that the contractor continues. You cannot be borrowing money from a bank as a contractor to develop and you don't get paid to pay back your loan. So bad behavior is then the client doesn't pay you, and many of these big projects are government, they don't pay you. So you as a contractor cannot do it. Or there would be other things. As a contractor, actually, a consultant will whip you to ensure that if you are paid, you finish the project on time. And all these scenarios are foreseen in the design and the documentation of the project. What happens in some places, and we've seen some agencies who probably, because of you calling it political pressure, but I call it bad behavior. Yes. They'll be pushed to commission a project without adequate funding or without adequate design because they want to please the masses. They want to please the politicians. But that is wrong from the professional point of view, because you are doing that to the detriment of the tax that you've been given, the tax that we people are paying.
All right, thank
so
you.
You meant to design, you meant to document the projects, And if we do that, we can say that the country will be able to move forward in a sustainable way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would
Much
like
as
to
you're
mention
avoiding,
that
we are avoiding that political, it's still coming in. Yes, yes.
the tool for correcting that bad behavior,
Yes,
whether
yes.
it's political
Or
or
just bad
professional
behavior.
or just bad behavior,
Yeah.
is envisaged under what is called Public Investment Management Guidelines, which is a requirement under the Public Finance Management Act. And the National Treasury has issued that. So we just need to follow that guideline because it guides what steps you need to go through in the process of preparing and budgeting for a project. Yeah.
Which mechanisms need to be in place to ensure you follow those guidelines? Because I want to believe it has been there. But the challenge is still existing,
Yes.
and I'm just realizing that we can't really talk about
within
achievements
within the engineering circles,
Yes.
there is discussion that at national level you need what is called a project office.
Okay.
You need a unit, and I think in the previous regimes there was something like a Presidential Delivery Unit, PDU. But I think it needs to be structured to be project focused. In some countries, they call it project office. So it is meant to coordinate the steps through which the projects are going on before they touch or they get into the budget, so that whatever gets into the budget and is committed as a government project, there is adequate funding for it. Of course, development is not government only, it is also private. So it means private organizations need also to address this issue of our project office. Yeah.
Now that looks like this issue, just I said that I realized you can't talk about achievements without touching on challenges. They're sort of like in tandem, they go hand in hand. But even as you talk about, following what is written, what needs to be there, the issue of delivering projects on time, question of funding, you realize right now we are leaning towards what we call the triple P, public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
Cool, or is this in a way, will it at least aid in sorting and solving these issues of funding? Because again, it looks like it's also one of the biggest problems of delivering projects on time, inadequate funding of these projects.
Thank you. I would like to observe that PPP is just one mode among many of delivering a project.
So you have various other modes.
Yes. So what is important in my perception and from the practice of other countries is to address the step called project preparation.
You're going back.
That means I study, or we carry out studies to say, do we need this project? And if we need it, how do we do it? What should be its scope? So when as part of project preparation or feasibility, you want to say, how do I deliver this project? Do I execute it directly through government? Do I leave it to a county government? Do I do design builds? Do I do PPP? How do I get funding? So at that evaluation with proper cost benefit analysis, then you select your method of delivery.
Okay.
Now, you will be choosing PPP from an informed position. If you just wake up and say PPP and you haven't prepared, then you can be, how do you call it, exploited.
Setting yourself up for failure?
Yes, yes. The project could succeed, but you could be financially exploited.
Okay.
Because you are not working on equal footing. The person who is giving you the PPP offer is more informed than you, so he can exploit you.
So there's an aspect of knowledge in this.
Yes. So we need to pick PPP from an informed position and with proper preparation.
I hear you. Engineer Matalanga, the Question of PPP still, and yes, Engineer Wambulwa says that there are various other modes, just as he has enumerated some of them. But you realize we are really leaning towards PPP when it comes to our infrastructure projects, and particularly the road construction, expressway, Rironi Mau Summit, using that triple P. Why is this one of those modes that we are really looking into as a country? Of what benefit is it serving us?
Doreen, you know, public-private partnership, as Engineer Wambulwa has explained, is one of the methods of getting funding for development. Yeah. And it's very good because you're basically bringing the public and the private. The challenge that we have identified and we propose to the government to ensure that, as Engineer Wambulwa explained, that you as the public, who is now going to partner with the private sector, you need to be very clear what you want and the agreement you want to get into, to make it a watertight agreement so that either party gets best for value. The investor, who is a private investor, gets his return and the public is not taken advantage of. So you don't want the private fellow to put a document that is going to reap.
Just for clarity,
public, yes.
Allow me to button on that one, just for clarity. When you say the public, who really are you referring to? Is it the citizens or the government?
From where I sit, Doreen, the government is me and you. So we are the citizens. When I talk about
why I ask that is because when you had the issue with SGR and the document being concealed up until when the new regime came and they released bits and pieces of what had been in the document, and the public now, which is now you and I, leave the government out of this just for a moment, we would say that we weren't privy to what was being released to us. But yet there are some persons in the government who really knew. So when you say public...
Sorry, that's again, Doreen, I go back to my word, bad behavior, because the government of the day represents me and you. It's our government by the people, by the people. So these documents are supposed to be public for the people, These documents are supposed to be public. We have access to information, so they should be made aware. And that's why we as engineers have always pushed for that in the government engagement, formulation of the public-private partnership, professionals should be involved. You cannot get someone who has no clue about the project that the government is wanting to get into, taking the lead. And as I said earlier, kazi ni kazi, infrastructure development is only engineering. So unless you appreciate that you have people whom you have sent to school, your own sons and daughters, who know what to do. Some of us who are a bit older parents know that the children always know much better and faster ways of doing things that we are trying to do ourselves. So government should also appreciate that they have developed local labor. They have developed local professionals who can help them really pinpoint what is in need. The Institution of Engineers of Kenya in 2020 embarked on a process of developing what we called infrastructure record card. We documented the state of infrastructure development in the country, where we are, and even made proposals of where we need to go. No, these documents is public. It's been submitted to the ministry. So government should use such documents, should involve professionals. The other thing, and when you're talking about achievements in engineering matters, one of the things that a major achievement that we achieved as engineers was the Engineers Board of Kenya managed to put together a document to document what are the duties of an engineer in any project. What are the duties of a consultant? And even they went further and said, for this amount of work, you pay him this way. So that document, we refer to it as engineer scales of fees. Previously, there was a bit of a blank where we had some documents, but we did not have legislation to back it. Now that document is there. So government can use it and say, look, instead of us when we are doing this public-private partnership, government can even get, if the government officials don't have the requisite experience, they can actually get a consultant, a relevant professional to advise them on this public-private project that they are conceptualizing. So we are saying that the engineers are there, the Association of Consulting Engineers, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, we have even the regulatory boards, they are there. We should support government and ensure that at the conceptualization stage, at the treasury, in that public-private partnership office,
Yes.
you need to have an engineer in charge.
Yeah.
You need to have an engineer who knows. And in every government entity, these things that are to do with engineering, you need to have the engineer to take the lead. In fact, people understand a lot when you talk about maybe lawyers and medicine. When you are sick and you need treatment, you go to a doctor.
Yeah.
And who assures you that this is a doctor? The Kenyan Medical Practitioners Board. You ask for his license. So now the board is able to say, "Oh, look, this is an engineer. He has this, then he will give you these services. And for these services, you pay him this amount of money."
I hear you.
So for both private developers and government, we now have the guidelines.
Yeah.
So public-private partnership is a very good way because you are looking for funding. It's not a loan. You are trying to agree someone, okay, he'll get a
Just
bit of
hold there,
interest.
because with where you're going, I realize that we need to expound a bit more on that triple P before we get to other issues of even professionalism and look at some of those challenges. But again, we are due for another break.
Thank you.
We are due for another break. Just want to take that very quick breather. Of course, we come back, continue with plenty more of this conversation. Don't go anywhere.
This at all, but Fabiola has changed quite a lot ever since she spent that night in the stables with a veterinarian, sir.
Please get a couple of horses ready.
Your boyfriend said he wouldn't go with you, Father.
Because you're coming with me. I dare you to kiss me again.
And to prove that my apology is totally sincere, I'm offering you a job right now. What we feel is too strong. Just let it go.
I'm supposedly going to get married. No.
Oh, serio? You
Zenaida.
scared me. What are you doing here?
Oh, I didn't hear you come in.
Oh.
Years ago.
Kitwek FM, Kegosin.
Exactly 4 minutes past the top of the hour, we continue our piece with the same conversation on just tracking the achievements and challenges in the engineering sector. Still holding court with Engineer Patrick Wambulwa, Chairman Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, to my far left, as well as Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, immediate past President IEK, that is the Institution of Engineers Kenya. And Engineer Wambulwa, I'd like for you to tell us the benefits of the triple P. But before we get to do that, let me just finish off with Engineer Matalanga on this aspect of triple P and the whole idea of making it public. And the reason as to why I asked that is because I want to still go back to just that document that was released by the CS Roads and Infrastructure, that is CS Murkomen, on what the document had stipulated when it came to the construction of SGR, which is what wasn't really made public in that previous regime. And you realize there was a part of that document that was talking about in the event of disputes, we solve it in China using China laws. And so then one would ask, where does this leave Kenya? And if at all, if it were made public, maybe we would have had an input in that. So when it comes to issues such as this, where do you draw the line?
Yes, thank you very much, Doreen. I think from where I sit, where to draw the line is very clear.
Okay.
Which is, it is wrong, as I was saying earlier,
yes.
for a government to keep documents away from the citizens. These are our documents. It is like you getting, because it's our money, it's our task. We are the ones who pay tax. So it was wrong for government to conceal that SGR. And suddenly the new government comes and says, this is the document, you can see. Now, with that document, the issue of the contract between Kenya and China, and with that time, remember, we were told that it is government to government.
Yeah,
So
and
you
we weren't even told it's private.
Exactly. So you cannot even have a China government entering into an agreement with the Kenya government and agreeing that in case of a dispute, we solve them in China under our legislation.
With their laws.
Chinese, with their laws and even their language, because we wouldn't understand. So it was wrong. In a normal contract, you agree that in case of a dispute, you settle it in a neutral place.
Okay.
And the UN gives guidelines on how this would be. And I'm sure as much as this was a contract, under the issue of the common good and under the law, if something went wrong and they wanted to take us to China, you would be able to say, sorry, you go to a neutral court and say it was wrong to appoint this, to agree on this. Probably someone was under, you can say, a bit of bad influence. Again, we go back to bad behavior, whether it's bad political behavior.
Or just bad behavior.
Yes, but you see, in Africa, and unfortunately, most African, the leaders of African countries run the countries as personal property. So that's why you see a government in place will want to hide the documents from the citizens, which is wrong, and that has been the downfall.
Bad behavior.
Bad behavior. Yeah, so, and that has been the downfall of Africa, because he's able to run the country as personal property, then he's able to amass wealth. Because we are not seeing it, because as a citizen, if you're able to see these documents, you say, President, your role is to guide us. You are our leader, we have elected you. Please give us guidance. We can only know you are giving us good guidance if you are telling us what you are doing.
Yes.
So the issue of having contracts and saying government to government, when they are released to the public, you realize it was a private company, to our government.
At this point, there's nothing you can do.
And the point, of course, there is nothing you can do, but we are learning.
Okay.
Yes, so we as engineers are saying, the people who are involved in that project must have known. And as an engineer, it is your duty to raise this issue. They must have raised it to the right authorities, but they must have reached a stage where they could do nothing. Because if you are a civil servant, you have to put food on the table in your house, and your duty is to raise it, document it, and then you give it to the implementing authority. So it was not correct that that document was not made public. Whatever mistakes were made should have been corrected. And that's what I was saying earlier, that once you involve the professionals, once you go to a doctor and it's precise medicine for you, if you don't follow it, then I don't know how to call it. Yes. And if you don't, and if you are sick and you don't go to hospital, then again you die. Then of course you have no one to blame. So as a government, please, in infrastructure projects, the leader is an engineer.
Yeah.
So we give technical advice, we give professional input, and it's upon the politicians, or for us to get political goodwill, good behavior, that we listen and move this country forward. And Kenya is very rich. You know, we actually, we basically, we can say we can sustain ourselves. And the whole of Africa is very rich. And you know that at the international scene, Africa is seen to be the one developing Europe, or to have developed Europe. They took, you even saw in the last World Cup, Africans playing for these European countries. So we need to govern ourselves and have respect.
Every player was of an African descent.
You saw it, yes. So even in human resource, even in physical resources, they have taken away. So we as Africans now, we urge our leaders, be real. And the only way we can move our country forward is appreciating what our people can do, reward talent, and not always look abroad to want to govern us as if it is government, as if it's recently. I just explained to you briefly. We also need to protect the civil service, both at national and county governments. You know, as an engineer, if I want to go to work for the county and the governor wants to give me, I'm not protected. I know that maximum I can serve 5 years. After that, I have to be looking for another job because the governor will exit. So we need to have a system where civil servants, and it is the role of the civil servant to serve the sitting government. They do a good job. The fact that you have served that government doesn't make you a bad person because there's a new government coming in.
Thank you.
You should be able to serve it. So we protect them, have systems that we protect civil servants so that they serve all the governments, and we are sustainable, we have continuity. We don't want disruptions. Thank you.
Thank you. And you always say that government is in perpetuity, that you just don't live because a new regime has come. But I want us to make progress on this conversation, and so then let's talk about those benefits of public-private partnership, because there's so much we can talk about the challenges they are in. And even just going to back to that particular document, the SGR, just as Engineer Matalanga is saying, so then one would ask if the engineers on board or the contractors on board knew about that clause, but then maybe they raised the alarm. So then whoever was responsible, why didn't they take action? But also I wouldn't want us to belabor that particular point, so let's just move close to looking at some of those benefits of Triple P. Engineer Wambulwa.
Thank you. There are many benefits, but I want to mention the big one. The big benefit of PPP is that it is possible to do what is necessary even if you do not have money, because you are using the money of the private investor. So the Kenya government can execute a project even if they do not have money, which means you need to be more specific with, is the project necessary? Does it have economic benefit? So if you ascertain that a project is necessary, it has an economic benefit to the country, then the limitation is not money. You use the PPP by packaging it to attract or to give confidence to private investors that they will get back their money from the charges. As people use the project, then they pay. Like now the expressway. Anytime you go up the expressway, you pay for it. That money is used to pay, the private investor uses that money to recoup his cost. So the Kenya government can do the expressway or any other project through PPP even if they don't have money. So that is the main benefit of PPP, that development can go on even if the national government is short of budget allocation. But the test should be that that project has economic value, and those who will use it will pay for it, and the charges are affordable. And those same charges can pay back the investor.
So there's nothing wrong with paying for that project. Why I ask that is because there was also an uproar. Remember when the expressway was being launched, and Kenyans really couldn't understand why are we paying to use this specific road, and some would even allude to the fact that we pay taxes at the end of the day. So then why would I pay again to just use a specific facility, as it were?
Yeah, because our total tax collection, and I'm not an expert in the tax systems, our total tax cannot meet our development aspirations. So in asking a person to pay for what they have used, you are trying to target target the service. so that you are paying for a service, and it's not a tax.
It's paying for the service.
It's paying for the service. Like the way I pay for electricity, I pay for water,
Yeah.
I buy my clothes.
You pay, if you're in a rental, you're paying.
Yes,
for
I
rent.
pay for rent. So, do I need to save time between James Gishuru and the airport? Does it make sense to me? Yes, I can pay.
Okay, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And just as you said, tax is not enough to meet our development obligations. Like around now, we still collect 2.1 trillion, and 1.4 just goes into debt repayment. So clearly, the remaining can't meet our development projects at the end.
So that means another benefit is that PPP lowers the government's need to borrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you are targeting private money to go where it is necessary, and people value the service and will pay for it.
Yeah. Well said, well said. And clearly also where we are, we can't keep borrowing. We are almost reached our threshold after the previous parliament, increased that threshold to 10 trillion.
Yeah.
All right, well said. Now, we also talk about the aspect of professionalism, and I've realized in most of your responses, you've kept touching on the bit of professionalism. And on December 9th, EBK did release a public notice for those engineers who are, quote-unquote, masquerading as engineers, but they are not. They are fake engineers, but they use the title engineer. How do we curb this issue? Because right now, you go to the market, and everyone is an engineer. Everyone calls themselves an engineer of something, just the engineering. How do we deal with this issue? Because then also it will become difficult for you to really decipher the real one from the fake one.
Sorry, Doreen, I think it is very easy for us because, as I said earlier, we have a regulatory body. All engineers are registered by the Engineers Board of Kenya. So what the board was saying, beware that for someone to be an engineer, he must be on the register of the Engineers Board of Kenya. And you remember even the board has gone further and given each engineer an identity card, and I will see what I can show you mine. They say that you as an engineer, I don't know, Patrick, whether you brought yours. When someone says he's an engineer, he has to show you an identity card to say that this is what gives me recognition. So we are telling the public that it is very easy for you to identify an engineer. Don't accept services from people who are not engineers. Just like I said earlier, if you go to a doctor, the doctor will have on his wall a certificate. Doctors are a bit like, because you have to go to them. You see, the engineer, you meet him, maybe on your site. You don't have but also as a client, you should check. And this information on who is an engineer is public available. The easiest place to get it is on the website of the Engineers Board of Kenya. All different categories of engineers are there. The board registers a graduate engineer, meaning that this person has done engineering education, he has finished university, and they give them 3 years to practice. And then after 3 years, you're supposed to apply for registration as a professional engineer. They have a list of graduate engineers and a list of professional engineers. After you practice for some time as a professional engineer, you are now supposed to be able to upgrade to a consulting engineer, meaning that you can now set up a consultancy practice, and you can also employ other engineers under your arm to do work as a consulting engineer. They also have a list of all consulting engineers. And then there is now another category of accredited checker, meaning that for review of other people's work, we have also these people who have now specific knowledge, engineering is wide. You would probably you heard generally about a water engineer, a highway engineer, a structural engineer. So now these are specific specialities of people that in case you have this need, you look at this list. So this information is publicly available. And every year, the board actually publishes a gazette notice. By March every year, they publish a gazette notice listing who these people are and the different categories. So what the board was saying, be public, please beware
that there might be people coming to you as engineers. Check that they are engineers. They should not come and say, I'm engineer so and so, when they're not engineers. You know, like, I don't have to say, Doreen, my name is Engineer Matalanga. I should say, my name is Matalanga, and it's upon you to say, you want to employ me as an engineer to check, am actually an engineer?
It's also due diligence from clients.
Due diligence from client, due diligence from even employers. Because when you employ someone to do engineering work, it can be anything, national government, especially county governments. As I said, they have a challenge of attracting qualified labor. But we are saying that the counties are now executing huge projects, and they should ensure that those officials who are leading in these engineering departments are actual engineers. And for counties, it's very easy because they have an establishment. So the county cannot say we have employed an engineer to do engineering work because you have, all the time, you have a human resource department, a public service CEC under him, whose role is to ensure that they have requisite staff. You will not employ someone as a doctor unless you have asked for his license. The board actually gives all engineers an annual license because the requirement is that you should remain up to speed with your profession. You're supposed to attend some courses every year. We call it continuous professional development, and you pay your subscription. And every year you're given an annual license. So in addition to that, and that's why we were saying, then you are on this, then how do you get paid? And how do we stop you taking advantage of the client? So they have even gone further and specified for your services, this is the fees you are supposed to charge. So don't undercharge, because if you undercharge, then you might not give the different duties that we have listed here. So they have actually listed duties, and this document is also publicly available on the board website. So we urge the government and the public to be aware. They've even gone further and also introduced what is called engineer stamp. So the approving authorities like county governments, national governments, and even you as a client, you should ask the engineer to sign the drawings and stamp them with his official stamp, because the board gives this stamp. If the guy is not able to stamp the drawings, if he's not able to show you his ID, then he's not an engineer. So it was just a sensitization exercise the board was carrying out to protect actually the public, to ensure that these people giving you these services, just like occasionally you see the medical practitioner board visiting clinics and trying to catch the people who are giving fake services. Even the pharmacists, they do the same. So that is the work of the board, to regulate the education and practice of engineering in Kenya.
I hear you.
Thank you.
And we have about 5 minutes to exit this space, and I wouldn't want us to do that without talking about the mega project, which is a matter that you equally alluded to, Engineer Matalanga. But I want to give you the last word on this one, Engineer Wambulwa, in respect to this mega projects and the space of our local human resource. Case in point, there are 1,000 dams that the state talked about constructing, and they said that they are going to begin with 100 dams, and this is for the aspect of to ensure there's adequate food production in the country. We're talking of also of Galana Kulalu, which is a project that has also been re-engineered. And in the president's statement via his Twitter account, he equally talked about dams also being constructed, in this area for the same purpose. So my normal question would be the space of our local human resource. Why I ask is because oftentimes when you have these mega projects, we always source for this human resource engineers from everywhere except our very own.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Just before I mention that, and I hope I can talk quickly.
Yes.
One of the achievements is that the government has initiated what you call graduate engineers internship program, which is good because it helps to expose young engineers to get a 6-month period. The challenge here is that maybe it should be made longer and universal, so that everybody who is graduating as an engineer, technician, or technologist, as part of that training, I get an internship opportunity and I become a professional, a registered in my line. And that is why now you want to safeguard them. What is their space in the mega projects? As I mentioned before, the way to safeguard not just professional only, but including even local suppliers, local materials, and do it, buy Kenya, build Kenya, is to do project preparation from a local perspective, so that it is the Kenyans who are preparing the project. Then we will identify the right mode of delivery and what technology or funding are we getting from outside Kenya. Having prepared locally, then it will be easy to structure it to the benefit of Kenyan professionals, all professionals, and Kenyan contractors, Kenyan suppliers. And we are only we are only bringing in what we actually need. We should not be protectionist, saying that we would like to develop to the exclusion of all the other countries, because all developed countries have developed by opening up. But you open up to bring in only what you need.
Only what you need.
Yes, only what you need, and avoiding exploitation.
Yes, I think that's a good place
So
to
we
end
should
it.
not be exploited, and we only get in what we need. And we capitalize on what we have. And that is local project preparation.
I hear you. Local project preparation, avoid exploitation, only get the resources that you need. And you also know that the CS Transport equally mentioned this during his vetting, that is going to look into ways of bridging that gap between
so
what
to
you
mention
get
on the dam,
and what you have.
We should go through, it's 100 years, but we should go into prioritization, because there is a national water master plan addressing water resource development. So there is prioritization with regard to irrigation. You need dams for irrigation. You need them for flood management. Budalangi and Nyando are famous for that. So I need flood management. You need them for energy, and you need them for water supply, and to some extent recreation.
I hear you. Well,
so we need to do the ranking, prioritization, and maybe if I was the one doing, I wouldn't do 100 dams on the same day. I would put 10 to this year, another 10 next year, another 10, and in 5 years I have initiated the 50, but I've created a plan because we have a national water master plan.
Thank you. And this was a license that you found it.
Yes.
This is the license that Engineer Matalanga is talking about. So this is basically what you need to be seeing when someone says, I'm engineer so-and-so. Don't just be getting people to do your projects because they say they are engineers. They have to show their identification.
Sure, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time. And we definitely appreciate your valid insights into this topic. Highly value them and appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate.
Thank you.
Yes. I have been speaking to Engineer Patrick Wambulwa to my far left, who is the Chairman Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, that is ASEC, as well as Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, immediate past President, Institution of Engineers Kenya, IEK. What has formed center of our conversation is just tracking the achievements as well as challenges in the engineering sector and how to bridge that gap. Good place to end this conversation, but Good Morning Kenya continues after this break. Stay with us.
overestimate yourself. The only people who do that are ignorant.
I heard from you.
All the postcards you sent went missing after I moved.
All the postcards you sent went missing when I moved, and I never found them. Which is why I think it was the right choice. To cut things off, once and for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jia.
I'm getting prepared for school.
You need a ride to the airport?
What?
Aren't you leaving for Denmark today? When is the flight?
Abantu ba Mintombi Yamole.
Your favorite KCSE station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest KC music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs.
Minto FM Enyakanga Enyamanazi.
Destiny, I wanna rule my destiny. What destiny are you going to do? If you come drunk like this at 9 a.m. in the morning,
who cares? What it is in destiny?
What destiny if he is drunk like this?
So, what do you propose, Professor Theophilus?
Guys, I really don't think teacher is doing okay.
How do you know?
Yes, how do you know? Are you a mind Linda?
You never know. Maybe she can read his body language.
Which language is that? Pesa, Agneta. If you don't have pesa, take it.
In short, guys, I am carrying things inside here. Can you imagine?
Born in Embu in 1968, Lieutenant Kanombui grew up helping his parents around the farm.
Helping my parents, farming, grazing, just like an ordinary Embu child.
Soon after his A-levels, he was called to the Kenya Science Teachers College.
When I reported, I found my name was missing in the list. And efforts to complain because I had a calling letter. Did not bear any fruit, so I went back and looked for a job of teaching as an untrained teacher. So I taught in a school, in a secondary school, Itobangao Secondary in Kirinyaga.
In 1983, just 1 year after the attempted coup, he heard of military interviews in Embu town.
Then I went for the interview and I was recruited. I was successful.
He was recruited in the army in 1983, right after the 1982 attempted coup.
So a lot of officers left the service. I think now they converted some of us cadets from the army and then we went to the Air Force. And then we trained together, both Army, Navy, and the Air Force.
In 1984, Lieutenant Kanombui was posted to the then 82 Air Force Flying Training School as a training pilot.
I was flying, yeah, but I think I found it better joining the logistics because I could have more time, attending my family. So I changed to logistics, and then that is where the adventure started.
As a logistics officer, he was posted to the Central Supply Depot, a job that involved traveling to military units all over Kenya.
It involves inspections, audits, and those kind of things. And we used to travel all over the military units.
Lieutenant Kanombui went to Sierra Leone as a military observer in July of 2000.
We had a Kenyan battalion in Sierra Leone. But me, I did not join as a peacekeeper. I joined as a military observer. So the job of a military observer mainly was to, to move around doing patrols, gathering intelligence, briefing the other troops on what is happening around the country.
Lieutenant Kanombui is remembered as the officer who risked disarming rebels without waiting for backup.
I decided to take a risk alone. And I traveled to Sembe. I talked to the colonel. We agreed. I briefed the headquarters. And we set up a date of disarmament. And that day we got 101 guns disarmed. And I said, although I risked, I think it was one of the best things I did.
When he came back to Kenya in December of 2001, he was assigned greater duties and responsibilities.
Yeah, when I came back, briefly I was posted to National Defense College. I came back to CSD and I became the commanding officer at the Central Supply Depot, where we proceeded with the normal ordinary supplies, equipment, supplies to the Air Force.
Until his retirement, Lieutenant Kanombui served at the Kenya Military Academy.
KMA has got different colleges. There's one in Lanet. There's another one that's for recruit in Eldoret, and various others like School of Combat. So mine was a coordination of those colleges.
Welcome back. This is still Good Morning Kenya. It's a pleasure being with you today. My name is Ram Maguko. If at all you're just joining us, you're just in time for the next conversation of the day. This is Women at the Forefront. And to help us in this conversation, we want to talk about what women are doing when it comes to standing out, breaking that glass ceiling, ensuring that they are the ones that call the shots. Well, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I am with Juliet Akai. She's an author. And I can even say poet, because she's been doing some fantastic job in terms of writing. Karibu sana, Juliet.
Asante.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Women at the Forefront.
Yes.
You're doing a fantastic job. And ladies and gentlemen, if at all you're just joining us, ensure that you keep on engaging with us. Remember to be part of this conversation. With me, I have a copy of her book, From Poverty to Riches. The future lies in your hands. That's what she says on the cover page. The future lies in your hands, and we are capable of building or destroying our own lives. A very interesting book here you've written, Juliet. You'll tell us a bit more about this.
Yes, yeah.
But first of all, for somebody who's meeting you for the first time, tell us a bit more about what you do.
Okay. Thanks for having me on the show.
Asante sana.
I'm Juliet Akai. I'm an author. I'm a philanthropist. I'm the founder of Yetu CBO, which is located in Busia County.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And I do a lot of things, and I'm also a certified mentor.
Certified mentor?
Yes, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Gender and Psychology.
Mentors also get certifications?
Yes, I went to class and learned on how to mentor people, so I'm a certified mentor. I have a certificate.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. First things first, this book, why From Poverty to Riches?
I love that title because it entails much about my upbringing. Okay, yeah, I come from a very humble background.
Okay.
So I've faced a lot of challenges in life, and also where I come from, it is a setup combining of most of the people are poor within our homestead. So I've seen people undergoing a lot in life, and I've also undergone a lot in life. That is why I was inspired to write From Poverty to Riches. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you grew up from a very humble background.
Yes.
And this is where? Busia?
Yes, Busia County, Busia. Nambale sub-county. Yeah.
Kiambala? Nambale.
Yes.
Oh, wow, yeah, I've been there. Been a cold place sometimes. Very cold.
It is.
So, let's get to know about your background a bit. You're saying you grew up from a humble family, and I know growing up must have been difficult. Based on even what I'm seeing on this book, the picture on this left side, I'm seeing a guy, the shoe is torn.
Yes.
Very torn, and the trousers, also torn trousers. But on the right side, I'm seeing very new shoes on the right side.
Yes.
Tell us how it was for you growing up in Busia, struggling day by day to make ends meet.
Okay, the seventh born in a family of 8, so you can imagine the struggle of raising 8 children in the village.
7?
Yes. I'm the seventh
8
born.
children?
Yes.
You're the 7th born?
Yes. Yes.
That's not easy.
And I cannot say that my mom has a nice job. She's just a businesswoman who hawks clothes for us to survive.
She's hawking in Busia?
Yes.
Okay.
So, at times I was bright in school. I excelled very well in KCP, and I was selected to join Nangina Girls. If anyone from Busia knows what Nangina means, So
okay. It was one of those best schools.
Best schools in Busia County.
Okay.
So I lacked school fees, you can imagine. And also, even going to a day school, I didn't have money to go there. And you can imagine I had scored 305. So I was like, how am I even going to join a day school with this kind of marks, and having been selected to join Nangina Girls? So it used to haunt me so much. So I stayed at home for around 2 weeks after Form 1 and had joined school, and my mom was like, you'll just have to go to Madende Secondary. There is no otherwise. And as you can see, I cannot afford the fees for Nangina Girls. So I accepted. We went there, and we didn't have even money to pay for my admission. So she talked to the principal, Mr. Gregory Kundu, and Mr. Gregory Kundu felt on my behalf of what I was going through, and he accepted to come to our forest to cut trees for timber for the sake of my school fees. That is how I joined Madende Secondary School.
I presume this is now you're being raised by a single mother.
She's a widow. Now you know.
From your story, I could pick that up.
She's a widow.
And you managed to get to school through the help of your principal.
Yeah.
Wow. What about the rest of your siblings? How did they manage it? 8 of you.
Some of them had to drop out in Form 4 because the previous principal who were there when they were schooling was not tolerating anything. He could not even listen to these kind of things. That is why I'm thanking Mr. Gregory. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have joined even that day school.
There are those teachers that always help people, students. Yeah, they are the ones that feel you.
Yeah.
But they are the rest.
Yes, he was my destiny helper, and that is why I always thank him. He has been there for me. Unfortunately, he got transferred when I was in Form 2. So there is a boarding mister who chipped in to help me survive in school as mom was looking for school fees. And I excelled and went to Kenyatta University later. In 2017, Matiang'i class. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. 2017.
Yes.
Now you've joined Kenyatta University, doing your bachelor's in
Bachelor of Arts in Gender and Development Study with a minor in Psychology.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And you graduated?
Yes, I graduated on December 16th. Yeah.
That's last year.
Last month.
Last month.
Yes.
And you say you can say last year.
Yeah.
It feels like a long time, but it's just last month.
Yes.
Congratulations on your graduation. So that's a fine story. But what I get also while I was checking you out, you wrote your a book while in campus.
Yes, first year.
First year.
Yes.
If you're watching, what were you doing? As others were writing books in their first year. What were you doing? She was writing books. How did you come up with that idea of even being an author?
Okay, while in primary, it is my class. While in class 5, it is my teacher who noticed, my English teacher who noticed that I can write, because I used to write composition and I get 38 out of 40. So he was like, you can do it. And he kept encouraging my mom to help me in writing and public speaking. So that is when I realized I can write. Now, when I went to campus, you know, in campus you have free time most of the time. It is not, the classes are not packed like
there's
high
no bell
school
to tell you what to do.
Yeah. So during my free time, I could just go to the library and start writing some manuscript. That is how I came up with that book.
Now, I know in primary, while you were still there, there was this competition between boys and girls. You know, who writes better, who reads better, who is excelling in English and mathematics, and etc. You got to be compared with your male counterparts.
Yes.
What was the comment that were being said there? I know it must have been competitive. Huh?
Yes. So for me, they used to compare me with my male counterparts. But I used to feel so bad because they were making us feel like girls are superior in English and boys are better in mathematics.
In mathematics,
you know? I used to feel like it was not a healthy competition because they were discouraging these boys to perform better in English because they seem to encourage them with the mindset that English is so feminine and mathematics is masculine. Yeah. So I used to feel so bad by then. Yeah, because, you know, I wasn't that good in mathematics, but I excelled in it, but I wasn't good in mathematics like in composition, you see. So they were comparing the two and you feel like, why are they even making me feel like I should not upgrade my grades on mathematics? They are making you feel like you are okay. Failing mathematics as a girl, it is just fine. And a boy failing English, it is just fine. So it is not a healthy competition.
But I love how nowadays the conversation is changing.
Yes.
Yeah. We are saying, no, it's not about gender.
Yeah.
Even women can also excel in things that men excel in.
Yeah, true.
Yeah?
Yes.
And now, when we talk about your book, tell us exactly the book that you wrote while you were in your first year in campus, about that book and your journey towards writing this book.
It is still the same book I wrote while in
This is the one on campus?
Yes.
And the poetry book?
I have not published it. It is still a manuscript. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the one that you wrote while in campus?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get to this now, let's talk about poetry. How did you, manage to move around, that journey of coming up with poems and writing them? Yeah,
okay, for me, I'm one person who expresses myself in form of writing, and poems is all about emotions and feelings. That is how I write my poems. When you hurt me, I'll not tell you, but I'll write it. I'll express myself through writing.
Okay.
Yeah, when I feel somebody has done something great for me, I'll express it through writing, and I'll write a poem about the person and the good things he or she has done. That is how I combine my poems.
Wow. But you said you don't perform them.
Yes, I just write, but I don't. Yeah.
Others should perform those poems.
Yeah, I usually give people to perform.
Have you seen when someone performs your own?
Especially kids, yeah, I love it because they express it very well.
Must be nostalgic. It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling, yes.
Now, from poverty to riches, tell me about this book.
Okay, that book, when people just read there From Poverty to Riches, they think all about money.
Yes.
Yes, that book is not.
That was the first thing that hit me.
Yes.
Concerning the picture.
Yeah. That is what people think.
Yeah.
But you can be rich in heart. The way you live with people, the way you help people, you can be rich in heart without money. You see, the way you just value others without looking down upon them, it means you are rich in your heart.
Yeah.
Riches is not just about money each and every time. So I combined the two. I was writing about how you can move from the poverty state of that is money, and how you can just be rich in your heart and rich in the things you do to the community. Yeah, that is all in that book. Yeah.
So it's about building the mindset of the community.
Yeah.
Challenging the perceptions that people have in regards to different issues.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then removing them from that mindset to a different level.
True.
How's the feedback from people that have read this book? What do they say? The response?
Oh, I've loved the feedback from people because they are telling me they have changed their mindset from with the way they have read my book. So when someone tells you, I read your book and I've changed one and two, so you feel it is an awesome feeling. Yeah, so the feedback has been nice and the responses have been uplifting my soul.
Yeah?
Yes.
What about family? I know there's a support system behind you.
Yes.
That has been there.
But it is not just family. If I tell you that book I was helped to publish by my area MP, my former area MP, you cannot imagine it. It wasn't even family. Somebody even just family. From the outside, yeah.
And do they respond? Family?
Family?
Yes.
Family, they were so happy. They have helped me in marketing the book. My sister even sells it for me. Yeah.
But the one who supported you was your area MP?
MP. And after supporting, he was the first person again to buy them. You can imagine.
It's funny how those who expect to do things for us are not the ones that do it.
No, they're not the ones.
But actually outsiders, people who we've just met.
Yeah. I just told him about the book. I visited his home and I told him about the book and he was like, you're a young lady and if you can do this, why can't I support you? Then he paid the entire amount for publishing. And again, he bought the books and distributed to some schools. Yeah.
Now, I'm seeing you've, in this book, you've focused on different issues, including marriage.
Yes.
You've tackled marriage, you've tackled even finances a bit. You've tackled finances, you've tackled traditionalism.
Yeah.
You even mentioned witchcraft.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we are in Africa. So you know.
We're in Africa. And now, let's tackle on these issues here, just to peruse. On the part of witchcraft, where was that? You started that Africa is beautiful, but most of the African countries, most of the people practice witchcraft.
Yes.
Have you seen this happen? And coming from the perspective of a woman, when you are giving these examples, witchcraft, you know, how do you feel we need to change the conversation, the things we need to tackle? Talk about marriage. You've managed to talk about, you know, how people go through some challenges in marriages that they need to change.
Yes.
You've talked about money, finances, how we need to even change on how we invest. You know, let's tackle each one of those issues. And what was it that was going through your mind, starting with witchcraft?
Okay, you know, in Africa, we have seen a lot of witchcraft around us, even in the village. At times, you just see when somebody is excelling in the village, people are not happy and they try to bring him or her down through witchcraft. And for me, I usually feel like when somebody succeeds in the village, that success is for all of us. Let's say I have a car and somebody else in the village doesn't have a car, and you get an emergency at night. So you can call me and I'll pick you from where you are and help you at that night. But you know, in the village, people usually feel like this one cannot be the one controlling us, or this one cannot be the one successful here. We just have to be the same. You know, we cannot be the same. If we are the same, I don't know who will help the other.
Is the same for women?
Yes. And it is women who practice witchcraft most of the time. It is not even men. It is women. Yani, we women, we were just created with some form of jealousy. And if you see someone succeeding, you try as much as possible to bring this person down. And most of it is through witchcraft. Even for you men, sometimes your wife can just do some magic to you. Na utakuwa kama zuzu, you see.
So
yes, whatever she says you will do. Na utajipata you will even stop doing, you'll stop excelling or doing what you are doing the best, because somebody has performed some magic for you that have changed your perspective completely. That is why I fear something called witchcraft in Africa. You just find yourself, you don't want to go to work. The things you are doing, you no longer love them. Somebody has just done some magic to you.
And in your perspective, in your opinion, women are the ones that
do it. Yeah, they're doing it the most than men. Yeah.
Then the women can't be the one to change the narrative.
Yes, it is us to talk amongst ourselves and change the narrative with the help of men. Yes.
Yeah. What about the narrative of marriage that you're mentioning here? women?
On marriage, you know, marriage entails both a man and a woman. It cannot be a one-way around. So on marriage, I was just trying to say, as a couple, you have to invest together. You have to sit together and suggest on how are you going to handle your finances and how are you going to build your family from poverty now to riches. Because at times, again, as women, we like spending a lot on things that are not necessary. So at times when a man wants to buy land, you bring a lot of problems to him and he just gives you that money to use at home. And you see, through doing that, you are not even upgrading yourself in any way. Because, you know, we have needs, basic needs, and we have some wants. Yeah, at times we have to reason together as a couple and know what can we do to change the kind of living we are living in and be better people in our society. So we have to plan our finances together. We have to do things together as a couple and understand each other if we want to move from poverty to riches. But if we go the different ways, we are not going to excel in anything we do. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about women in leadership, in your perspective, because you've also tackled that in this book.
Yes.
Your perspective about women in leadership currently, is it changing? Do you feel like the conversation has drifted from women's suppression to women coming out and taking their position?
We are, as much as gender is concerned, we are still far much behind. Yeah, in this country.
How do we solve that?
Okay, you know, when it comes to leadership and involving women in leadership, you men have to be there for us first.
Women have to be there.
Yes, you have to support. You have to support us. Because, you know, at times when a woman is vying, men will be like, how can I be led by a woman? You see, they tag a woman. How is a woman going to lead me? And I'm a man. So it is you men to chip in and support women in leadership. Because at times I'm looking at this, let me say, nominations, and I'm even wondering, because when a woman wants to be nominated, she has to have some form of relationship with so and so, you get, for her to be nominated. So there are a lot of things happening behind the doors for these women to be in these positions. They have to be submissive to someone, a man.
Juliet, I love the passion and the charisma in you. Tell me just a few, mention one or two, those things that motivate you day by day and make you want to, you know, keep on achieving and breaking those milestones.
Okay.
Just mention one.
Maybe you...
Motivating factor. What encourages you, what inspires you, what keeps you going?
Okay, for me, the dreams I have for myself are the ones keeping me going and keeping me do the things I'm doing. Because I want to be... Okay, you know, I want to they say when you want to build a society or you want to have a better society, it is you to do the right things that will make the society look like the way you want to see it look. So when I want to see maybe women in leadership, I have to be the one advocating for them to join leadership and supporting them. So I'm doing things that I love doing, because...
You're passionate about it.
Yes.
I want you to have a final word and talk to the women that are watching you today. Your word of advice as we bring this conversation to a close, your parting shot. You can speak to the Kenyan women watching you today.
Okay, to Kenyan women, you know, let's not walk around with the tag that's help me or elect me because I'm a woman. Let's compete with these men favorably, because I believe if you have the best agenda for your people, they will elect you. Don't beg them to elect me because I'm a woman or what. Let's meet these men. Let's compete with them. Let's beat them in everything they do. Let's go for those senatorial position, member of parliament, and even governorship. It is not, we are not tied to be in women rep positions alone. Let's fight with these men and we will take it and we will win them.
We can help each other.
Yes.
You're the fighters.
No, we are not fighting, but
we can help each other.
But let's just compete with them without the tag that I'm a woman. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Positive competition.
Yes.
That is Juliet Akai, ladies and gentlemen, an author. Thanks so much, Juliet, for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And keep doing it.
Thanks for having me.
I wish you the best.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And of course, that brings us to the end of this conversation right here on Good Morning Kenya. It has been a pleasure being with you. And of course, I hope you've been motivated right here. It has been women at the forefront. We're taking a short break, but we'll be back with more in a bit.
Don't underestimate yourself. The only people who do that are ignorant.
I heard from you.
All the postcards he sent went missing after I moved.
All the postcards you sent went missing when I moved, and I never found them. Which is why I think it was the right choice. To cut things off, once and for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jia.
Oh, I'm getting prepared for school.
You need a ride to the airport?
What?
Aren't you leaving for Denmark today? When is the flight?
Abantu ba Mintombi Yamole.
Your favorite KBC station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest KCSE music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs.
Minto FM in Nyamira.
Destiny, I wanna rule my destiny. What destiny are you going to do? If you come drunk like this at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Who cares? What disease in destiny?
What destiny if he is drunk like this?
So what do you propose, Professor Theophilus?
Guys, I really don't think teacher is doing okay.
How do you know?
Yes, how do you know? Are you a mind Linda?
You never know. Maybe she can read his body language.
Which language is that? Pesa, Agneta. If you don't have pesa, take it.
In short, guys, I am carrying things inside here. Can you imagine?
I don't know if you've noticed this at all, but Fabiola has changed quite a lot ever since she spent that night in the stables with a veterinarian, sir.
Please get a couple of horses ready.
Your boyfriend said he wouldn't go with you, Father.
Because you're coming with me. I dare you to kiss me again.
And to prove that my apology is totally sincere, I'm offering you a job right now.
What we feel is too strong to just let it go.
I'm supposedly going to get married. No.
Oh, serio? You scared me. What are you doing here?
Oh, I didn't hear you come in.
Oh.
Years ago.
Shoro FM. Oh, the querería, mo
Exactly 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. Time for our last conversation of the day. We explore women in leadership, basically what they are doing in their spaces of influence as well as places of leadership. To help us converse around that and so much more for the next 30 minutes or so is Judy Oyuyo to my far left, who is an evangelist on set. We also have Dr. Peter Hayombe, who is a public health consultant. Lady and gent, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me just start with you, Judy. I have described you as an evangelist, but there's a lot that you do.
Yes.
Who is Judy?
Judy, I knew that question was coming. Judy Oyuyo, evangelist. Well, I go by Judy. Judy Oyuyo. I'm Kenyan American. I'm based in Houston, Texas, and every year for the last 13 years, I have been coming to Kenya to do community outreach events. Typically, I ship 2 months before I come. For the last 3 years, I ship sanitary pads, adult diapers, baby food, and gently used clothes and shoes to give to the needy. I go to the slums because to me, when everybody wants to give in CSR, corporate social responsibility, they go to homes. I don't do that. I do street evangelism, slum evangelism. And before the promulgation in 2012, in 2010, I went to all the 8 provinces with the exception of Northeastern. My dad and mom told me, Judy, don't go to Northeastern, it's not really safe. But I met with Reverend Francis Omondi and I gave him food. And I do the same thing across the board. So,
why did you feel the need to want to do this? Because just before the promulgation, before we got the counties, I mean, visiting all the 7 regions,
right,
with the exception of the 8th one, the Northeastern,
correct,
and going to the slum areas to, give foods and dignity packs.
Why did I have the need? Because I broke my neck in 2004 on Good Friday, April 9, 2004. I broke my neck. When I was in the hospital ICU in Atlanta, Georgia, at Kenneth Stone Hospital, I told God, I said, Father, when you heal me, I will go to the nations to show them not only how much you love Judy, but how much you love the world. And so for me, God, I used to come to Kenya like 2005, the first time I came to speak. I go to churches, I go to Nairobi Pentecostal, I go to Old Don Bosco, name it. And when I go, I minister in the youth sanctuary and also in the men's sanctuary. And then people come to me, Judy, pray for me, I need a job. Pray for me, my dad and I don't talk. Pray for me, I need a wife, I need a husband. So those needs people were asking for, and many times even when I came, actually I didn't have a job then, but God had made it such a way that He kept me unemployed for that period. Then I'd come, I do my thing, I go back. But then I had a second accident in 2004, and I asked God, no, this is too much. I was mad with the second accident. So that's when I got the mandate from God and the vision to come and do this in Kenya. I don't think I've heard of anyone who does this from America, coming back to their country to do this. I think I'm the first. So I'm a trendsetter, I think. So that's what I do, and I would see the need of the people, and for me, such a burden because I hate to see anyone suffer, especially the children. And I know some men, they give children 100 shillings and say, hey, ugilana na mimi I'll give you this, which is terrible. So for me, I wanted to help them and meet them at the point of need. After I meet them at the point of need, then I'm able to gospel preach to them.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that, meeting them at the point of the need, particularly when you talk about adolescents, teens as well. But let me bring you, Dr. Peter, on this one. Talk to me about where you come in this program.
Okay, my name is Dr. Peter Hayombe. I'm a public health consultant. So I have a company called Simba Education Consultants. In that consultancy, we work, we make profit. Now, part of our profit, we have apportioned to helping the needy. So that's how I met Judy. And of course, when Judy invited me to be useful in her campaigns to provide information on sexual and reproductive health and family planning issues for the adolescent girls and young mothers. So that's how I come in to be her partner in meeting out and reaching out to the people. Yes.
So then, Judy, do you do this as an individual or, there's an institution? How do you do this?
So I speak to motivate, because what more can we do than just speak? So after the second accident, I asked God, there's got to be more that, when I'm talking American, there's got to be more I can do than just speak about these testimonies. According to Revelation 12:11, they overcame him, the devil, by the blood of the Lamb, Jesus, and the words of their testimony. So I was like, But how come whenever I talk to people, whether I'm in America, I go to American churches or Nigerian, Kenyan churches are many in America. But when I come to Kenya and I go to churches, everybody wants me to pray for them. I'm like, God, there's got to be more. And I was seeing they need. So I asked God to give me a name. And the name he gave me for the ministry is Speak to Motivate, because what more can we do than speak? But it is based off of Matthew 25:41-46 and James 1:27 that talks about the orphans and the widows. So I saw the need and I was like, okay, I can do something about it. So that's who I am. I'm Speak to Motivate. And I go to schools too. Like now I can't go because they're on holiday until I think 2 weeks time, 14th, right?
24th. 23rd.
Yes.
So then you do this as an individual.
Correct. Through my ministry, which is the ministry that I lead and founded, which is Speak to Motivate.
Speak to Motivate.
Got it.
All right. When did you found this?
Speak to Motivate was founded in my apartment in Dallas in 2008. So it's been how many years? 15 years now?
15 years.
Yes.
Which year did you come on board Daktari?
Yeah, we've been with Judy for quite some time, and most of the time I provide her with information that she's able to relay. In fact, she's now doing it in a cascading way. Like when she'd be leaving, the team we met at Kayole, there are ladies that I've already provided them with the curriculum they're going to use for sexual and reproductive health and family planning. So we work like I give information or I give part of my time to go and speak to the ladies or the adolescent and teenage mothers on sexual and reproductive health issues, because that is like my main public health area.
Yeah. And I mean, you're a public health consultant, so ideally this would be your forte.
Yes.
When you say you give information to Judy, is this information of what really happens in the country or really just towards this area of public health, in the areas that you visit together?
A bit of it is also on research, for example. Or what was the prevalence of, say, teen pregnancy, or what is the prevalence rate of maybe mental illness that are affecting teenage girls or pregnant teenagers. And then from this, that one part of information. The other part of information is now the hardcore. What are some of the family health options that they can have? And when they are able to go through this, and of course there are several, like I said, cascading. I train people who then now train these teenage girls in the various spaces where Judy has created.
Yeah, I hear you. Judy, since 2008, just going around in Kenya mostly, and of course the slum areas, how has your experience been? Because you realize when you talk about issues, particularly surrounding girls and issues of teen pregnancies, they just never end. And the giving of dignity packs as well, as you call them, sanitary pads, much as the state would get and employ ways to do this, but still, it's a problem.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a big burden.
Yeah.
And initially, for the last 11 years, I've been doing this for 13 years now, practically, going to the slums for 13 years. Now, the 11 years of that was mainly orphans and widows and needy adults. But of late, God has changed it to where it's now more wazes. I've been to Nyumba ya Wazee also, and I've been to Muji wa Huruma in Krunda. And teenage mothers.
Yeah.
So how has this been? It's been very, the need never ends. So I would like even to partner with people who make disposable, not disposable, sorry, the organic, I don't know if they call it organic, biodegradable sanitary pads that are more affordable, not only for the women, but also for adults. Adult diapers are super expensive. I have a ton in my house in Houston. I'm going to send them, ship them. But I need help. We need help to provide more affordable baby diapers and adult diapers, and of course sanitary pads. It's a never-ending need because every woman, he's not shy, has menstrual cycle. So what are you gonna use? Here in the beginning, I found out that even people use cow dung, they use leaves, they use even newspaper or old cloth, which is not very hygienic, and it also can create a health hazard for them. So it would be good to partner with even the government. If they can do this, please help. because it's such a big need. Some girls don't go to school when they're on their menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So they miss upwards of...
Even in this day and time.
Yes, so 12 weeks of school they miss. But yeah, that's divide by 4, it's how many months? That's a lot of time away from school. So yeah, it's a never-ending need. It's always be there. It's always be there.
Yeah, you want to jump in?
If I like the way you mentioned that the state has been providing, and of course this has been a very good project in the previous regimes and probably this other one. You find that they are out of school youths who also need this. So when they reach them through schools, there's still some gap that you can see Judy's talking about that they can be able to reach, because these are the government project now cannot reach them because they are out of school. And these are also very needy that the project which is targeting school don't meet. Yes.
I hear you. Judy, you talked about baby diaper, adult diaper. Someone would be asking, adult diaper, why?
For was they?
Yeah.
You know, some people who maybe they have incontinence, maybe how is it that they cannot urinate on their own.
Yeah.
So in order not to spoil their intimate garments, panty or underwear, then they have to wear a diaper. Some of them maybe have kidney problems, so they cannot just hold it. It's just, you know, urinate in a talker too. So baby adult diapers, it's a diaper. It's like a baby diaper. Basically, that's what it is. And there are some, they're made for men and they're made for women. They're no in between. Yeah, so, and I have many in my house. I want to ship them. And another thing is the bedpan, not the bedpan, the mattress protector. That one also, I don't know if anybody manufactures that in Kenya, but you need a mattress protector, because obviously sometimes maybe when somebody is sleeping, they can soil the diaper. It can be full. They don't have control over their
is this what we call the Macintosh?
I don't know what the Macintosh is, but it's like maybe this size, and it covers the mattress of where they're sleeping. So that also is a big need. It's a plastic thing with a lot of foam in it that protects the mattress from being soiled. So that's also another thing that is needed to bring dignity, as you put it.
Yeah, to bring dignity.
Yeah, because how many people? I remember even me. I'm going to say this and without any embarrassment. They found that I had diapers. I had fibroids. So for 5 months, from November 2020 until March 2021, I had nothing but 5 months of bleeding. 5 months of bleeding. I had to wear diapers.
Non-stop.
Yes. And in America, the way the medical healthcare insurance works, you have to wait for the doctor to open up a specialist. I had to wait to see my OBGYN. I couldn't just go see my OBGYN. You guys call them gynecologists here. It was horrible, but I had to wear a diaper. So now that's what I'm talking about. Maybe sometimes people have issues that they cannot control, and you know, by providing this, you give them dignity. Because if when you go outside, you don't want eggs. Where will I go to the restroom? They can just use that. They have another one in the bag, and they go. Then they go and dispose of that. So that's what I'm talking about. Especially for Wazee.
For Wazees. This is also where your heart is drawing.
This is what God has now put in my heart for the last 2 years. Yeah.
But initially really began with adolescents, orphans, widows, and teens.
Correct.
And when you talk about teens and adolescents, looks like we'll center quite our focus a bit there momentarily. So then, is this specifically girls, or is it
even boys.
Both genders?
Even boys, because even on Saturday I had a motivational talk with some youth in Kisumu via Zoom. And I'm such a technology girl. I've been doing this technology for the last maybe 15 years. Via Zoom, and they asked, and I asked them, how many of you in the room have a need for sanitary pads? Then the pastor, Father Paul, said that 200. I said, I don't see 200 people. Tell me the number. They told me 40 girls. So this is what I'm going to do. Through one of my sponsors, I'm going to provide sanitary pads. I have a major Indian sponsor for the last 13 years. She gives me food, she gives me rice, she gives me sanitary pads, never says no. Then I have another one who gives me food, produce, with vegetables and stuff and fruit, and then another one gives me deworming tablets. But for the boys, and the boys, what about us boys? I said, okay, Edwin, what do you want? We want footballs. And it's true, because when they're idle, they get into mischief and start having teenage sex and become teenage mothers and teenage fathers. The women end up being single mothers because the boys are overwhelmed and they don't have a way to provide for this child and this woman that they have impregnated, so they leave. So now I work with the youth also, but like I'm saying, it's going to the boys and the girls. I don't neglect the boys. So we need footballs.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you really cut across, because oftentimes you've talked about programs for girls, and the burning question has always been, what about the boys. And
yeah, that's true. A number of projects and helpings have gone to girls.
Yes.
And it's like skewed. But I like the fact that now people are coming out to also approach boys, like First Lady now, having projects that are geared to supporting boys also. And of course that would make it neutral, and both of them are rich at the same time.
So that we empower both genders.
Both genders,
in tandem. Not that you really do one at the expense of the other, then one feels neglected at the expense of the other. But then you've also been out in the field, definitely with Judy, with the various programs. What challenges are you spotting when it comes to the youth or the young adults?
Okay, in fact, you would find that youth are somehow not very motivated to live. So the motivation is very low.
People have lost hope.
Somehow the motivation is very low because when they were going to school, they probably just thought for themselves, I'll get to school, I'll get the certificate, I'll get employed. But now this is not coming forth. So because of this, you find the youth are not motivated, youth are not able to churn out what God really gave them, so that they bring out their self to be productive in the society. Apart from that, you find that youth also, because of idleness, they get involved in a number of social ills. They would be involved in drugs, and these are things that get them out from their normal social life. You also find that relationship between youth and their parents, and of course the community, is degenerating or reducing. And this is also a challenge. Because of this, you find that socializing within communities is really reducing. This is why you find that when you go to communities, you will just find youth seated or idling somewhere in markets. They would ask you for money instead of thinking of going to look for money for themselves. Yes.
And I can really see Judy agreeing totally when you say that the young adults have lost hope, the relationship degenerating. But I want you to jump on that one momentarily. But before you get to do that, I still want Dr. Peter to tell us more on that one. When you talk especially about youth losing hope, it's one of the things that you're also spotting when you go out there in the field. What would you say is really the biggest reasons to this?
Okay, for a long time, our education system has been geared to actually getting your certificates and getting employed. We've not brought in this practicality that you can do the blue-collar job. So because of that kind of training and education, which CBC is coming in to correct, you find that we are not motivated to do something, but we wait for employment. So our education system, which is now being aligned, will help that kind of problem. Yes.
So what I hear you say is lose of hope is simply because of not having somewhere, or how should I say, not knowing the next step. Like you're done with your coursework, your schoolwork, and you don't know.
Yeah, and it gets down to somebody who is still at secondary school level, seeing university graduates still with them at home. So that makes them to even lose hope and motivation. Yes.
That's why Judy has the program of more And you're really heavily agreeing with what Dr. Peter...
because I've seen it. I mean, for the and look up. This is just God. Because how do you explain that I live in America? You guys are here, but I'm seeing the same things that you people see.
And you're very much aware of what is happening.
Yes. And well, I watch news from America, but I don't need to watch news to know what's going on. I'm in touch with my mom. My dad died 2021, so Daddy also was a very significant part of what's happening. And you know, always said, "Hey, Judy, this is happening. Judy, next time maybe you come." He's interesting. Thank you, Judy. Maybe next time you come, do this, do this. Judy, maybe does the youth this, you know? So even parents need to step up and, like he's saying, help the children. Because just because your child did not go to university, you can tell me, hey, look, you can do this ABCD. When we went to Kayole with Peter, we went to Sabasaba, Kayole, which is a big slum in Kayole. We met the bishop there is Bishop Kitui. Bishop Kitui is doing an amazing thing. He is actually providing tertiary education. So I asked the girls at the end of the program, we're there from, I think it was 12 until about 4. So we took food with us, we motivated them, we prayed, we danced, and I met some street acrobats. And just by, me, I'm a very outgoing person.
Yeah, clearly you are.
I saw them, the roundabout right there in Eastern Bypass in Kileleshwa.
Yeah.
These boys literally, when the lights stop, the traffic lights stop, they start doing their acrobatic moves. So I'm like, I was watching them. I think it was maybe my second day in Kenya. I said, but you guys, Auntie, don't you think you're exposing yourself to danger? You guys are not scared of being knocked by the cars? They didn't know. Even the police has told us we can move on the side, do on the pavement. I'm like, okay. I told him, you know what, I have an event on the 19th, and I want to involve you guys. So I paid them each, there were 5 of them, 500 shillings, and they came with us. In fact, they rode in one, me and him rode in one car. He came with his driver, and then I paid for them from Yaya Center. We just picked up an Uber with Fred Libako, and we went to Kayole. When they went, they really got the children excited, the young mothers, and even some of them were being thrown up to the ceiling, and not really up literally, but how they do this strip, I don't know, it's like tier, like 4 tiers, human beings, and then the top one is a teenage mother or her daughter. It was so amazing to see. So those are some of the things. Don't just think that your children just can only go and become doctors or nurses or whatever. They can use their music talent. They can use their hands. So Dr. Kitui, every 6 months, he trains these mothers. I ask them, what have you learned from today? What have you learned from being a teenage mother? What mistakes did you make? And where do you want to go? I learned that some of them, they are happy. They're selling adult diapers, baby food, and for that one I'm going to provide to her what I have in my house and support her that way. There's one who's selling mitumba. I have a lot of gently used beautiful clothes. I'm going to send that to her and continue to support her that way. Some are making, they're doing catering, dressmaking, hair making, whatever. So it's as he says, you can train in other things. Go to technology schools. Polytechnic is still there. I hear it's an university now. There's so many things. And some of these universities, please partner with us. Provide free education. Provide scholarships. If somebody cannot help financially, please, afford it, help them. Like Equity Bank is doing amazing thing. And maybe they have something. Maybe we need to approach Equity Bank because these children need to not lose hope.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a vicious cycle. Because you got it from your mother, so you're taking it to your teenage, you're a teenage mother, your children, and then what? It will be passed on because they don't know any better. But there's so many things that you can do. Kenya is a beautiful country. There's so many opportunities, but it takes money and connections.
So the whole idea is not to lose hope.
Don't lose hope.
Yeah.
If I didn't lose hope when I broke my neck, come on.
And the second accident as well.
I've been in 3 accidents actually. I've lost, how many cars have I lost in America? Many. So if I cannot lose hope and I come all the way from America to do this, don't lose hope.
You can't afford to lose hope.
Life is too short and too unpredictable. And God has a reason for all of us to be here. We all have a purpose.
Yeah. I'd also want us to talk about the programs with the teen moms and the adolescents. But before we get to do that, I also want to bring you on this one, Dr. Peter. Yes, I know Judy has really spoken a lot about it, and even giving examples which you've equally touched on. But this is cutting across both genders. When you look at how young people are losing hope, is this only just boys? Is it boys and girls? How would you describe from the different places you've been in the slum areas in Kenya?
As you already indicated, it's for both boys and girls.
This actually has no gender.
It has no gender because some of the issues we meet are similar, but it now gets worse to girls because when they engage in premarital sex, then they have a baby at that young age. When they are not prepared psychologically, they are not prepared socially, economically, and therefore they are not able to even bring the child they have given birth to. And it also begins from the fact that when what they would call accident occurs, when they get pregnant, that is, which is not actually accident, when it occurs, the relationship that they have with their parents, as well as the relationship that they have with the community changes, because now people see them to have gone through, it's now they've done some social ills. So the fact that relationship has changed, they get into stress, and some of them go further to go to trauma, because people see them in that wrong light, which actually may not be, is not necessary. So for girls, it's more because of that, and boys escape because nobody would know who was the father of that pregnancy. Now, because of that, you find that girls have okay, they face the same problem, but now girls are more because they have more burden. And this differs also in terms of the different, say, part of our country. You find that a lot of the teen pregnancy is very high in other places and very low in other places. You also find that it's also different among social classes. We have more teenage pregnancy at the lower quartile, while the upper quartile, there are no major pregnancies.
Hold that thought there. I want us to take a very quick breather, Dr. as well as Madam Judy. When we circle back, we explore more on that as to why we will have other regions having low and others high, and what you spotted when you go out in the field, and basically what you're doing in your different capacities of leadership and influence to bridge that. Due for that break, we circle back with plenty more of this conversation. Stay with us.
Don't underestimate yourself. The only people who do that are ignorant.
I heard from you.
All the postcards you sent went missing after I moved.
All the postcards you sent went missing when I moved, and I never found them. Which is why I think it was the right choice to cut things off once and for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jia.
Oh, I'm getting prepared for school.
You need a ride to the airport?
What?
Hi, Miss Jia.
Aren't you leaving for Denmark today? When is the flight?
You and her can be Baba Jane's wives.
Sharing is caring. Karibu chai iko tayari.
But your mom needs help.
Enda. Ukiachwa kitu yoyote awezi deal nayo.
Mbona uko kwa bwana wako?
Huku ni kwetu.
I've never killed anyone before.
If mom is not happy, I can't be, yeah? Could you please come over?
Mark is trouble. Yani utaki niingie hata kwako?
Mixing business with personal matters.
Baba Jane.
I love you so much, Krista.
Are you too serious about this marriage business?
Welcome back to the program. We definitely want to continue our pace with our conversation of the day. But before we get to do that, we want to cross over to the Kenya International Convention Center, that is KICC, where currently The public sector hearings are ongoing. This is for the financial year 2023-2024. Currently speaking is the PS National Treasury, that is Dr. Chris Kipto. So let's just cross over there and listen in to this specific forum, which is geared towards the short and medium term budget for the financial year 2023-2024. Watch.
In 2024 and the medium term. The public sector hearings are critical in ensuring public participation and inclusivity in this budget-making process. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, the budget preparation process entails various stages as provided for in Section 35 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. The Act envisages a strong linkage between planning and budgeting in order to ensure optimal allocation of the available scarce resources. Towards this end, the State Department for Economic Planning co-convened the medium-term expenditure framework sector working groups that prepared the 2023-2024 budget proposals. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 5 years, the budget-making process was guided by the third medium-term plan, the 5-year 2018 to 2022, which will come to an end in June 2023. This will pave way for the fourth medium plan, 2023 to 2027. The fourth medium-term plan will focus primarily on the core pillars of the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, which is the plan, namely agriculture, micro and small, medium enterprises, housing and settlement, healthcare, and digital superhighway, and the creative economy. The fourth medium-term plan will prioritize the implementation of economic recovery strategies to reposition the economy on a steady and sustainable growth trajectory. Implementation of the fourth medium-term plan will foster growth, wealth, and employment creation, poverty reduction, and improved livelihoods for all Kenyans from the bottom of the pyramid. The medium-term plan will also inform annual budget priorities. Ladies and gentlemen, during the medium-term plan period, the 2023 to 2027, the State Department for Economic Planning will undertake periodic monitoring and evaluation and prepare annual progress reports that will inform future planning and budgeting. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as we review, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you fruitful deliberations as we review the sector proposals for the 2023-2024 and the medium-term budget. Thank you and God bless you. It's now my pleasure to be able to welcome the chairman of the Budget and Appropriation Committee, Honorable Didi Nyoro, to make his remarks. Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa.